Welcome back to Bold of You to Say. We're back with another episode.
Welcome back to Bold of You to Say. I haven't yelled in a while. I apologize to your eardrums.
Gavin has not brought the heat in a while.
It's 9 p.m. and there's a dog upstairs that will lose his fucking shit if I scream.
Long time. I still don't know if it's going to be all one long, nearly 3-hour episode, or if it's going to be
That's what she said.
Split up or what. I might
That's what she
one
said.
of the segments its own thing. But
That's
anyway,
what she said.
This week we talked about Andrew Tate and just his whole recent downfall. It's been a doozy.
It's dramatic irony.
Yeah, he has done
really
many
great.
crimes.
It's
against many
so
people.
fun to see.
He's a bad
man.
Not a good dude.
Not a good guy.
We said we were going to talk about
him.
Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1 this week. We are liars. We're bad
We
people.
are Greek harps.
This week we talked about Avatar: The Way of Water, and it was good. I liked it. It was a fun movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So suck on that. And then we talked about economics for a very long time. Again, might be its own publication. Who knows? It might be its own episode. Whatever.
Get off our dick.
Whatever. Anyway, look at all these turkeys.
I know how many fans are confused.
Yeah. Anyway. There are timestamps in the description below. I keep forgetting to bring up the timestamps, but I did it this episode. I did it. Okay? Get off me.
But don't put your timestamps on a card.
in the
The mail
description.
system won't accept it.
So you can, true that.
I mean, you can if you want. Just make sure to put an actual postage note
So
on that.
you can skip a certain part if you want. If you want to wait, you can't wait to get to a certain part. Use it if you want or don't. Whatever. Who cares? Anyway, have a good 9 a.m. through 9 p.m. Our official business hours. And
Wait, that's our outro.
Let's
just jump into it, man.
What?
Let's just jump into it.
Let's
do it.
Let's adapt to a watery environment. So before we get into it officially, I do not want to join your email newsletter. Before we get into it officially.
You don't want to join my email newsletter, Alex?
No, I don't. Stop asking me.
Come on, I talk about calligraphy and gynecology, but only professionally.
So I'm reading an article from apnews.com.
Penisnews.com,
Just
for those who don't know.
quickly Googling the Andrew Tate situation, just so I can get myself a little bit more up to speed on what exactly the current state of it is. And I just like how they introduce just the concept of Andrew Tate. I'll just read the first sentence.
It's great stuff.
A court in Romania's capital, Bucharest, has upheld the 30-day arrest of divisive social media personality and self-described misogynist Andrew Tate on charges of organized crime, human trafficking, and rape, an official said late Tuesday. Just imagine that that's the introduction to this man. Self-described misogynist. Okay, that's pretty bad.
I mean,
he's up on charges for the most horrible things you can do to another person.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I think the thing that separates, and I'm guesstimating what his defense might be. I think his defense will be, well, when we were doing it, she was consenting. But it's like
his defense is probably going to be, I'm a top J. I'm a top J.
I'm a top J. I'm a top J.
I drive a Bugatti.
I drive a Bugatti. I think his defense is going to be, when we were doing the deed, she was consenting. But the thing is, if you're doing the deed under coercion, that's not consenting.
Well, I think it's going to be hard to defend him in court because don't ask me for specifics on it, but I saw that, I saw a screenshot of it, so I know it's not just something that someone made up, but I saw that he was basically bragging about this on his website, before this all came up, before the arrest. It had been on his website, in his biography or something, bragging about running this webcam studio, and he doesn't hide that these women were basically kidnapped into it. He's pretty much bragging about doing human trafficking. So ooh, yeah.
And it's not like he just started now either. This has been going on.
He's been a known human trafficker.
Right. And I'm happy to see him get arrested.
Yeah, fuck him.
Oh, I think I said this last time, but I don't like it, Harry Potter kind of gives you an idea of how they felt when Voldemort finally died. And not finally, like at the end of the series, but the first book when they're oh, he's dead. Cool. I feel like this is what that feels like.
Well, yeah, because it is also just off of trying and failing to attack a child.
Right.
That's the funniest part of it to me. And we've been kind of going back and forth on this, like this afternoon, like what exactly is the order of events. But the story that's been going around and what I had teased we were going to talk about last week is, so the whole story, not the whole story, but like the recent events, the start to finish was Andrew Tate out of nowhere attacked Greta Thunberg. I don't have the tweets up in front of me or else I'd go through them individually, but basically what it was is he was like, yeah, this girl, she cares about the climate. That's lame. I have a lot of money. He was like, hey Greta Thunberg, you should give me your email so I can send you a list of all of my cars because they do a lot of emissions and that's really cool. And she was like, okay, yeah, email me at littledickenergy@getalife.com.
Oof.
And
was that verbatim?
Yeah, that's pretty close to what it was. Get a life or it was little dick energy or small dick energy at getalife.com.
I love that.
Yeah. It's a good comeback. It's fun. Like, it's not like a biting insult. Like it's kind of like corny, but in a fun way. Like,
right.
When we say that we fucked each other's moms, like it's not an original.
We were joking?
I wasn't, but
I wasn't either.
Okay, so if it was a joke, it wouldn't be like an original thing, but it's just like, I don't know, like just saying that you fucked someone's mom is just like, I don't know, it's fun. It's fun. But yeah, so apparently he responded twice. I believe, don't quote me on this, it could be flipped, but I believe.
Yeah, he did. To Greta or after he was arrested?
No, to Greta. So this was pre-arrest, but I believe what I've pieced together is, and just going off of memory, I believe he first said fairly immediately, like, "Oh, you're saying that you have a small dick. Actually, you're saying that you have a small PP, and you should get a life." He basically said, "I know you are, but what am I?"
Yeah,
and then like 2 days later, he came up with his other comeback, which I believe was something along the lines of, "Hey Greta, look at this pizza box. I got this pizza. I ate a pizza, and I'm not gonna recycle the pizza box." What, you said something? Send something in the Discord. Stuff we send during the show. Yeah, so we interrupt your regularly scheduled program.
I didn't mean it to interrupt.
A meme
I'm
that
sorry.
Gavin just sent. You send it to stuff we send during the show.
Yeah, because it's something I wanted to send during the show.
YouTube Shorts is gross. Me, and then it's the monkey puppet looking
awkward monkey puppet looking
puppet.
Awkward.
You know the one probably
because
Gavin's been relapsing. He's been going back to YouTube Shorts. Anyway, so yeah, the thing that he came up with 2 days later, he took 48 hours to come up with this. Was he posted a video that was like, "Hey Greta, I got a pizza. I'm eating a pizza.
Hey,
and I'm not gonna.
Hey Greta,
I ordered a pizza, and I'm not gonna recycle the box.
I ordered a pizza."
Yeah, he's like, "I'm not gonna recycle the box, Greta Thunberg. I bet you're really triggered about that." By the way, quick aside, you can't recycle a pizza box anyway. So like, yeah, he's not really.
Is that because of the cheese and the oils and stuff?
Yeah, you can't recycle anything that has
food on it.
Yeah, has food on it. I think any kind of like organic matter, anything like that.
What about like human hair?
I don't know what you would recycle. What if I had
What if I had a pizza box full of human hair?
I think you have bigger issues to worry about besides whether or not it's recyclable. But anyway,
it's my own.
It's your own. I don't know if that makes it better. I really don't. So anyway, yeah, you can't recycle a pizza box anyway. So as much as he would like to be putting harm out into the world, he just isn't any more than any one of us is when we order a pizza.
You know, like, this sure reminds me of that one scene in Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, where just imagine Greta being Qui-Gon Jinn and Andrew Tate being fucking what's his face, the Gungan, the
Jar Jar,
Jar Jar Binks, and Jar Jar Binks is like, Misa smart, Misa can talk, and Qui-Gon is just like, the ability to talk does not make one smart.
Yeah, for real, yeah.
Like, I feel like
I just love the idea. I just love the idea of multimillionaire Andrew Tate, world famous man, running as we now crystal clear understand a sex trafficking operation. I love the idea of him taking time out of his day for 2 days trying to come up with a response to Greta Thunberg saying he has a small dick.
Well, and I'm kind of weirded out at the fact that, like, I'm so incredibly not surprised that it's him. Like, not at all. Like, I'm like, that sounds right.
Aside from the fact that we already knew he was doing human trafficking, if it was going to be anyone, it was going to be him.
Right. And, like, listen, I would be shocked if it was like, oh, Tim Allen caught in fucking human trafficking. I'd be like, oh, shit.
I mean, he did already traffic cocaine in the 90s or the 80s.
But, I mean, he's always going off about, oh, God saved my life because you made me not want to do that anymore. And I'm like,
also, Hollywood is too woke.
I don't even fucking know, dude.
Yeah.
But anyway, if he was like, yeah, getting back into the business, I'd be like, whoa, shit.
Here's the thing. So, like, when Louis C.K., like, had his allegations come out,
but which were true, by the way. I want
of course, yeah.
It's not an allegation. This is like true. He was like, yeah, I did that.
Right. Yeah. When that all came out, like, I was disappointed because I really like, his comedy. I think he's a great performer, and I don't like feeling guilty enjoying someone's content. And I obviously, like, it's worse that he did it because of the real impact on people's lives. I'm just being selfish, saying like, I don't want to feel bad for watching his comedy, but I wasn't surprised.
What, Alex?
I wasn't surprised by it.
Yeah.
The guy that talks about jerking off and wanting to jerk off in front of people jerked off in front of some people. Yeah.
Right. I wonder where he got the inspiration for that from.
Right. Well, that said, I'm even less surprised that Andrew Tate, of all people, is being accused very credibly, and also we kind of admitted, being accused very credibly of rape and sex trafficking and all that. Yeah, I'm just not surprised. One bit, honestly.
And I hate to say like and the cool thing, because there's nothing about the situation that's cool. But the cool thing
about sex trafficking.
No, not sex, just the fact that Andrew Tate is being arrested and stuff. Is that I fucking hate him. It's because he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, he's just a good person to have off the streets.
Donald Trump won in 2016, and now I feel like since Andrew Tate's been arrested for something that I totally could see him doing, I feel like the universe has been set right.
Yeah, I don't know if they quite cancel out, but it is just flat out a good thing that he's being arrested.
He's arrested, yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for the victims.
Same, yeah.
I don't know if anyone like died during the operation. Like, there's really no justice if that's the case. Like, you can't you can't bring them back. I just hope that the people that are still around can get some kind of, I don't know, compensation or what, just some kind of justice.
Right.
Not that anything can undo it, but like they deserve something.
And like, I do want to like say for the women who've come out about this and like put this on the radar, good job. You did great.
Yeah.
And I'm so incredibly sorry this had to happen. Not had to, but I'm so incredibly sorry this happened to you.
Yeah.
No one deserves this to happen to them. And it's sad when we live in a world where we believe that we're kind of civilized, that there are shitheads like this.
Yeah, they kind of just ruin everything for everyone.
Right. And Yeah, so for the people who you know, were brave enough to come out about this, good job.
Yeah. And I haven't seen anything on this case. Like, I haven't seen people like trying to like deny the accusations or like say that they're lying for this particular case. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure if they're not already out there, they will be out there. People will be saying like, oh, they're just, you know, trying to, you know, lie for clout. They're trying to, you know, get some kind of settlement, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And I also
it happens with every single one of these.
Yeah. I also want to add into for the women who haven't come out due to obviously the fact this is kind of like a celebrated crime, to use criminal justice terms. You know, be brave.
Mm-hmm.
Try to stay strong. I know it's not easy, and I'm not a woman, so I can't really speak to exactly what they might be experiencing, but be brave, be strong, and take your time. Take your time. Take care of yourself.
But the reason I bring up people trying to like deny that, say that they're lying, whatever. I mean, people make a similar argument with every single one of these cases, but like
mainly because they have to, because that's how courts work.
Right. Well, like what I'm saying is like a common response to people trying to make like say that they're just making it up is like, why would they lie about this when this guy's fan base is going to go after them? They're going to flock to them. But like that's especially true with this. Like, there is no one like there's no one's bad side you want to be on less than Andrew Tate and his fans, because they'll like they will harass you online. But they'll also like kill you. They'll also try to kill you if they can like track down where you are.
Have they tried to do that before?
I couldn't point to any specific examples right now, but I'm pretty sure I've like heard examples of like real life like doxing and like violence from his fan base. Like they're incredibly
technically like terrorism.
Right. Well, yeah, it's a common thing with these like the far right figures, like their fan bases. Just as a general rule, if they can, they will dox you and hurt you.
Good God, just get a life.
That's the whole Libs of TikTok operation. That's the whole point of what they do. Libs of TikTok finds, you know, quote unquote groomers, just gay teachers, and then publishes their names and sometimes addresses. And then, of course, their crazed fans will go after them in real life. And I would not put it past Andrew Tate's fan base to do the same thing, if not like worse. So there's no reason that anyone would lie about Andrew Tate of all people doing this.
And also for the people who like are like, why would a guy like who has so much lie about? Why would a guy who has so much do something like this? That doesn't make any sense. You know, have you heard of a guy named Bernie Madoff?
Right. Yeah, the rich, as a general rule, hate you.
Right. He was one of the most prestigious rich people in New York who started a Ponzi scheme. And the reason no one looked into it was because they just assumed because he was one of the big names that like he couldn't be running a Ponzi scheme.
Right.
It wasn't until like an accountant was just looking into it, you know.
He found out that Bernie made off with a lot of money.
Actually, he's in federal prison for his entire life.
Well, he was gonna.
Which I wish would happen to more people who did shit like that.
Yeah. No, white collar crime is like criminally under like prosecuted. It's under like investigated. Like it's just kind of swept under the rug.
Like Trump's interim CEO of the Trump organization was arrested and charged with like 1 month in prison, and it's like, ooh, 1 month in prison.
Right. Yeah, I was listening to I think it was the Crystal Kyle and Friends podcast, but they were talking to someone, special guest, whatever. They were talking about like white collar crime. Yeah. And the guest made a point that like is a really strong point. Like they don't go after white collar crime so much because it's just like, oh, it's whatever. This guy is embezzling from a pension fund, whatever. But they go after like, you know, a guy robbing a gas station just because there's like a gun involved and it's perceived as more harmful, even if the gun isn't used.
Well, and that's the thing though, like it depends on how you're measuring like damage, right?
Well, yeah, someone could steal millions or like tens of millions of dollars and get like a slap on the wrist basically. But if you steal $100 from a gas station, like guess which one will get prison time?
Yeah. I mean, and there are, however, some statistics that show that, and this is kind of backing up why it's like robbery is something that is worse in law than white collar crime. There are statistics that show that if you repeatedly get away with robbery, eventually, statistically, you will kill someone in the process.
Yeah, sure.
Or intentionally. So, like, that's kind of why they punish it worse, because statistics just kind of show that. Whereas white collar crime, it's like once you get caught, you're like, oh, you got me.
Right. Well, I mean, if you really want to crack down on like, robberies, like, just petty crime like that, just improve the material conditions of whatever community you're serving. Because like it's been proven time and time again that if people aren't like, losing sleep over whether or not they're going to be able to pay their rent or buy groceries, they don't go out and rob places.
Right.
Like it's pretty simple cause and effect. Like the police, like I've seen like a lot of examples of this. The police, like around the holidays, will like break out the like good cop attitude. They'll post on social media like, hey, we pulled this guy over, and instead of giving him a citation for his busted taillight, we just gave him $100 gift card to AutoZone, or stuff like that.
But
like,
they did that once. But they only do that like once.
They only do it like around the holidays and when they can get PR from it. Imagine if they just had that attitude the entire year. Imagine how much more crime they would prevent just by taking away like the need for that crime.
Right. But I think it's important too to not slip into the idea that if given the right materials, people would know what to do with them. And what I mean by that is that like a lot of what comes from like financial wellness and like having good things in your life, I suppose. I don't know really how to verbalize it, but it comes from like a general understanding of how the world works. And if you don't have that baseline education, you'll do what you think is correct, even if it's not. Am I making sense?
I'm not sure.
I guess what I'm saying is like, even given the right resources, like a lot of people still don't know what's good for them.
I guess.
And
I don't know. That seems a little like abstract. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's very like debatable.
And I'm not saying
like
I know what's good for them either. I'm just saying like,
I mean, my understanding, just consuming the news, like listening to statistics and all that, like it has been made pretty clear that places that have better material conditions, like you see it in like Scandinavian countries, like places where the general welfare is insured, there's just less violent crime. Because people like you don't rob a place like for the fun of it. Like, that there are consequences, but if you're poor enough, if you're desperate enough, you stop caring about those consequences. It's not because there's anything like wrong with these people. It's because they're desperate. Like their choices are like rob this place or starve, or your family starves.
And it reminds me of a saying I heard about like homelessness, which is that like where they are in terms of being homeless, like the location that they're at is better than the alternative. And so when talking about stuff like, these crimes happen because... So like the reason a homeless person might like sleep under a bridge is because it's better than going home where they may have a home, right? Or this is in terms of like people who are in abusive households, in terms of people who are being abused, I guess. You know what I mean? Like it's just generally better than...
Yeah, I thought you were talking about like people that are homeless. Like people that don't have a home to go to.
No, people who, so people who are not in a good place.
Yeah.
And because I mean, statistically, generally speaking, like usually a person will know another person that they can stay with.
Yeah.
And not always, just sometimes.
Yeah, it's a luxury that a lot of people don't have.
Right.
You don't realize it's a luxury until you don't have it.
Exactly. And what were we talking about again? Shit. I lost my train of thought.
we were already on a tangent, but the tangent was like how your socioeconomic status ties to your likelihood to do crime.
So what I'm trying to get to with that is that when you're hungry, right, going to jail for stealing food that you have eaten, right, is better than the alternative of starving.
Right. Yeah.
And I get that. That makes sense, like, especially if you like literally have nothing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The point that I wanted to make with all that, nested inside of the point that we should, prosecute white collar crime more. The point within that point was kind of a side point, is that, instead of spending money to like heavily arm our police force, why don't we just put that money towards giving people food and shelter so they don't have the motivation or the necessity to do crime?
Or, because I agree with that, or we could raise the standards for cops and try to get more people who are in a, like, maybe a nurse position or a EMT position, right, to come over to the law enforcement side, who know how to handle situations that law enforcement doesn't usually know how to handle.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Which would require a raising of the bar for training. Because I remember one time I was on Snapchat, and for the era that we live in, it was like, hey, cops no longer require a college degree. Apply now. And it's like, I think a cop should I think that should require a college degree.
That is not the good thing they think it is that they're advertising.
I think if you're going to be a cop, a good setup would be crisis management, communications, and political science.
Right. Well, yeah, you've probably taken way more law classes than the average cop, which is
not even
zero.
Law classes. It's criminal justice. That's not even law.
I guess it's law adjacent.
It's that, and then there was what was it? State and local government class that I took.
Gavin, those two classes individually are infinitely more than the law education that cops receive on average.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because we had an adjunct professor, and he was talking about we were talking about like law enforcement in particular, and he was talking about how like there's like sometimes in area, especially rural areas, there's a lack of law enforcement. And he's just like, the issue is that you could say, hey, we need a volunteer law enforcement people, like for instance how they do like for fire services, right, firemen services, right. He said the issue is, and he told us to our face, he's like, the issue is usually the people who volunteer to be cops aren't the kind of people you want to be cops.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been saying like for a long time now. The people that choose to sign up to be a cop are generally not the kind of people you want to be cops.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like weirdo, like militia men.
Yeah, like, don't tread on me. Yeah. Don't tread on me, when they don't realize that they're technically the boot.
Right. Yeah. I don't tread on me. Also, I want to be the boot. Please, I want it so bad. Me. I want to tread on people so bad.
Don't tread on me, but I hate snakes and I like to make shoes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I trust a volunteer firefighter because it's like I've said before, firefighters just are better. But like if someone really wants to put out a house fire, I see no like ulterior motive with that.
Yeah.
Like that's just a noble thing to do, I think.
Oh,
but also, if you try to volunteer to carry a gun and inflict the law on the general populace, something is wrong with you. I'm sorry, but there is something wrong with you.
And it's funny too, because even volunteer firefighters have substantially more training than a volunteer cop or most cops that are starting.
Well, I mean, can't you just become a sheriff's deputy just by knowing the sheriff?
Yeah, no, you can just be deputized. That's scary, isn't it?
That is scary.
You can just be deputized. Yeah. You could just be elected into being a sheriff and then just be deputized.
Hey, listen, audience, watch this some more news video if you don't realize how scary the concept of a sheriff is.
Yeah. So also in my criminal justice class, I mentioned to my professor of that, who happened to be the chief of police of the town that I live in, that California was allowing prison inmates to volunteer firefight for the wildfires in California.
Yeah, allowing. And prison labor is always about, people volunteering.
Guys, it's not slave labor. They get paid 2 cents an hour.
Yeah. Prison labor is another fucked up thing that we still do for some reason.
Yeah, it's weird. But he looked at me and he's like, "Are you sure about that, Gavin?" And I'm like, "No, yeah, I saw it on the news on like CNN and Washington Post and stuff." And he's just like, "Cause even to be a volunteer firefighter, you need like a bunch of training." And there was a firefighter in the class who was like, I'm not even fucking kidding. In the goddamn class, a firefighter was like, "Yeah, I have to take this class so I can be a firefighter."
That's great.
And
I remember hearing, I forget who did it, but there was this bit that I saw. It was a stand-up bit about that story, how they were having prisoners do like firefighting. And they were like, really? We're just letting like, it was, I don't remember how exactly it was worded, but it was something along the lines of, so we're just letting a bunch of prisoners run wild in the forest, a burning forest.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't even look at it.
I forget how he worded it, but it was funny.
Well, like, I don't even look at it like that. These are like, we have to stop looking at prisoners like they're subhuman.
Yeah. No, I fully
these
agree
are people.
with that. Yeah.
These are fucking people, okay? And I don't know about you, Alex. I'm not sure about any other firefighters who might be listening to this show. But from what I've heard, which is nothing on this topic, but from what I believe, it's not safe to go into a burning forest while you're shackled to 5 other people.
Yeah, that just generally doesn't sound safe.
That just doesn't sound like something that's, good for your safety.
Right.
So yeah, anyway, I don't think they even had like ventilation gear. It was fucked.
Shit. Yeah. All right, we're limited on time. I have to leave in about a half hour. So the last thing that I'll say while I'm on my soapbox about the police, I've been saying for a long time, they need to like divide the labor better instead of having a whole bunch of people that do a whole bunch of stuff. Like you strap a gun to someone's hip, but also expect them to be like good with children.
You know, raise the bar for training.
Well, raise the bar for training, but also like have some division of labor. Like maybe instead of sending the same guy in to like bust a meth lab, sending that guy to like resolve a mental health crisis, maybe just send in a mental health professional.
Have some law enforcement specialization.
Yeah, specialize. Exactly. That's the last thing that I want to say. So anyway, we watched a movie this week.
We watched it. Actually,
listen, I gotta
apologize.
I gotta apologize to the audience. Okay, I know you were all waiting on the edge of your seats for our review of Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Breaking Moon Part 3.
Yeah, we were gonna watch Harry Potter or whatever.
Harry Potter and the vampires who suck.
Hey, look at this turkey.
Look at this bat.
Look at this turkey. Hey, you want to say some words, turkey? Anyway,
Guantanamo Bay prison is not a legal prison because it's in Cuba. It's like what the turkey said.
This shit's still open. That's fucked up.
It's still open.
Shit.
Anyway, sorry. Shit.
That's all the turkey saying it. So we're gonna have to push back Twilight to next week because I watched Avatar 2 or
Electric
How
Boogaloo.
I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Water. And I liked it, and I felt like I think we collectively both felt like talking about it this week instead of Twilight.
Right.
Gavin, you had to do a lot of research because you watched this like a couple weeks ago.
I watched this about 2 weeks ago, I want to say.
Probably, yeah. You were supposed to watch. It was when we were going to do the Violent Night episode.
Here's what happened. So I went to see a Violent Night with a friend, and we were walking to the theater, and she was just like,
all intentions of watching Violent Night.
Actually, though. And then she was just like,
hey, what if we stabbed Alex in the heart and then twisted the knife? Wow.
I'm sorry?
Wow.
You have a heart?
Wow. That hurts.
Wow. Yeah,
if I had a heart, it would be breaking. Anyway,
yeah, would it? Just like I broke your mom's pelvis! Anyway.
I thought we agreed to retire that bit.
What bit? I'm talking about reality. Anyway, sorry, we're going off topic here. We have only a half hour, Alex.
Yeah, 27
sorry,
minutes.
Alex only has a half hour. My bad. So she was just like, oh, the new Avatar movie is playing. You want to see Avatar instead? And I'm going to be honest, Alex. Yes, I did want to see Avatar instead. That's
fair.
The fact of the matter. Thank you. I've been waiting. What is it? 12 years, 13 years for this fucking movie to come out?
Close to 14 years.
Bro, I remember being like 9 and being like, Avatar's awesome. I can't wait for the next movie to come out. And they're like, oh yeah, 2013.
Yeah.
10 years later. Fucking what? Anyway, so we watched Way of Water. It was definitely nostalgic, and it was definitely I now know how Star Wars fans felt.
Oh yeah.
When the prequels came out and stuff, without the disappointment.
Yeah. Well, maybe how about when The Force Awakens came out? Oh wait, still disappointed.
Gosh. Shit. How about when the Kenobi that's boring.
How about Book of Boba Fett? Oh. I liked that one.
It was okay. It's just how many times, like, they're just Disney's just beating the money horse here. So
yeah. I still need to watch Andor. I've heard that one's really good.
I don't even care. I don't even care about Star Wars anymore.
I've heard
been
nothing
on
but
Star
good
Trek
things
and
about
Avatar. Anyway, so what struck you first about this movie, Alex, that you found fascinating?
Well, yeah, I was going in, I was like, okay, I got to plan out my bathroom breaks or lack thereof. Let's see how much water I'm allowing myself to drink going in. Right. I was like, oh, it's like close to 3 hours. And then I looked at the runtime, 3 hours and 10 minutes. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm not.
Shit.
Yeah, there's 4 hours will have passed between entering this theater and exiting.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah.
So I will say I managed to get through all of it. I'm very proud of myself for that.
That's what your mom said about me.
Look at these turkeys. Anyway. But yeah, no, I definitely think it didn't feel as long as it was. Like I'm not going to say it felt short. I won't necessarily say that it felt well paced, because I think I'd have to like watch it again to get a better feeling for the pacing of it. But just in terms of like capturing my attention for 3 hours and 10 minutes, like it did an incredible job of that, because it just keeps like throwing new environments at you and everything. Like I've seen people complain about the like 40-minute chunk in the middle of the movie that's just like shots of the water and like the family learning how to operate in the water. But that was my favorite part. That was my favorite part of the movie.
Because a part of that is not only just narrative, but like also world building. Right. And showing like how this fucking world works.
Yeah. It does feel like it feels like I'm like learning about a world that exists rather than like, okay, yeah, they got to write something for this thing. Like, no, I'm peering into this world.
Right. I really liked the beginning when they were just kind of like playing catch up with like, what have we been doing these? Because I like to think between when the first movie came out and now, that's like how long they've been like there.
I mean, basically.
Like, I like to think that. I don't know if that's the truth of the matter, but
well, it would it'd have to be close to like 15 years, which is not that far off.
No, it's not. And I really liked the catch up because it kind of showed, because even though Jake Sully's in a new body and he's been in this body for 15 years, right? It kind of shows like all the little meta things that he had to, like metacognitive things he kind of had to get used to. And I really like the anecdote he made of like, I've been speaking Na'vi so long that I might as well be speaking English.
You know what that reminds me? I did think in the moment that part was really funny to me.
Yeah.
Just because they were like, I was on board for the idea of like just the most of the movie being Na'vi just with subtitles. Right. Like I'm not going to complain if I have to read a little bit, Mm-hmm. But I thought it was really funny that they were like, oh, these fuckers they're not gonna read
I just
subtitles.
I'm dyslexic. I'm gonna lose 80% of this fucking plot if you have them do narration. Or if you have them do like subtitles, I'm gonna walk out of this fucking theater.
It felt almost like I know it was narration and therefore speaking to the audience, but it felt like he was turning to the audience and saying, "Don't worry, we're gonna talk normal."
Right. Which I guess by that point, I mean, now I guess that means I'm fluent in Navi. So
yeah, because it basically sounds like English. I couldn't tell the difference. It did make it confusing, like going from like scene to scene, like okay, are they speaking English or are they speaking Navi, but it's just English to us?
Right.
So like it can lead to, some of that, so it's fine.
I just really liked and also like the attention to fucking detail. Yeah. I love it. So like their retinas are like cat retinas. So when they took that family photo, their eyes reflected back the light from the flash.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Making the photo kind of look like shit, like actually like makes it look really real. And I appreciated that.
Right. And I like how they finally and I know after 13 years, people finally caught on to the fact that the Na'vi have 4 fingers.
You mean 3?
But
the avatars have. Oh, you mean like including the thumb? Yeah.
They have 4 fingers.
Yeah,
right?
with the thumb.
And, right. And oh, fuck you with the thumb. Suck my fucking thumb. Anyway,
I didn't realize you were counting the thumb as a finger.
With the thumb. Oh god. I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of you.
It's 4 including the thumb is what I'm saying. I thought you were saying. Thought you were saying 4 plus the thumb.
Mr. Hand Doctor over here.
Well, okay. I'm sorry if I make you feel inadequate about your hand expertise.
Mr. knows everything about phalanges.
Ooh, Mr. knows how many fingers he has.
I like how they finally made it like a plot point that like the fact they have 5 fingers is a part of contention, like the avatar bodies, because they have human DNA have 5 fingers, right?
Yeah.
Which, side note, and I was thinking about this the entire movie. So humans came up with math and like our base number system, our base 10 number system, based on the fact that we have 10 fingers, and that's how we counted. Does that mean their number system is in base 4?
Maybe. Yeah, it's base 4, base 8, maybe.
I want to know how they count. I want to know how they do math. Because you don't just like make a saddle without like measurements. Like they have saddles, right? You don't just like do that. You don't just like measure out a stick without being like, yeah, it needs to be that long, right? Anyway, I got really pumped up about that. I'm sorry.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I think it'd be funny to see a part where Jake Sully's trying to learn Na'vi math, but this time it's in base 4.
Yeah.
And he's like, fucking god damn it.
Oh, they don't even use Arabic numerals.
I failed geometry. Fucking. That's why I went in the Marines, because I failed school. I failed math.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say, speaking of the finger situation, that reminds me, that tribe that they go to, they were racist as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess makes sense. They're a very tribal species.
It's funny when racism is okay to us when it's like not humans.
Yeah.
I find that really funny.
It's like, oh, they don't interact with other people. It's whatever. Right. It's
like, haha, they look funny because they're from the forest.
Did a hate
Imagine
crime.
if I went up to some Chinese dude and was like, haha, you look funny because you're from China.
I mean, that's like a lot of human history, to be fair.
Right. There was a lot of, and I hate to take a gif from, not a gif, a fucking line from Game Grumps, but as long as there's going to be 2 people in this world, one of them is going to be like, you're not me.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight you.
Exactly.
So.
But yeah. I do appreciate the thought that went into designing the water people, the water Na'vi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they got like the more like they're more barrel chested, I guess.
Exactly.
They
have some flippers
lung
on
capacity. Yeah, they got like flippers
arms.
basically. Their tails are like designed in such a way.
Yeah. I really liked the discussions, like, because I'm of course like a political science guy. So I really liked how this is like essentially 2 nations talking to each other, right?
Yeah.
And kind of like how Native American nations would talk to each other, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And when they arrived to the ocean tribe, if you will, I'm not sure what to call them.
In the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, just tribe.
Tribe? Yeah, when
basically.
they arrive at the like ocean tribe, they're like, he has the demon blood in him because he has 5 fingers. And he's also like, I know, but I'm also my tribe's leader, and I was chosen by my people who don't have demon blood.
He's Kenyan. Yeah, but I'm also the president.
Yeah, but I'm also... You weren't born here because you're black! Like, what?
Ugh.
Anyway, I really like that
transparent racism, might I say,
right.
about that whole situation.
Right. But I just really liked that dynamic of, like, he's like, yeah, but I was chosen by my people to be their leader, right?
Right.
And the other, like, chief guy, I don't know, I want to, like, use their official names.
I did not get most of the names of anything in this movie.
Like, Turek Makto, I think, is what Jake Sully was.
Yeah.
Because he tamed that big flying dragon thing.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'm Turek Makto of my tribe. And the other Turek Makto, I think that's probably what he is, was like, I don't know, man. He was just like, you do have demon blood. I can see that.
You are of the sky.
You are of the sky, but you were chosen by your people, and we do have good relations with your people, just like I have with Alex's mom. And
sorry, what was that? I was jogging. I was driving through a tunnel.
Yeah, sure. What was that? I was on my way to fly to the ocean nation.
Yeah. I thought you were jogging. I'm on my way to jogging in the water. Nation.
Jogging in the. I think they're actually the water tribe. You fucking racist.
Oops.
Yeah, I just liked that dynamic of it was technically politics, right? Like, that's technically politics and bias. And I love it. It's so delicious because all they need is like one good negotiator.
Right.
They need one guy with a specialized skill in negotiation and law.
Yeah.
And culture.
Yeah. Now, going back to what I said earlier, I don't know if I might not have specifically said it actually, but I love this movie just as a general, as a package. I love it. I love all of it. I felt like very emotionally attached to everything. I just want to lay the groundwork for, I loved this movie. And I was able to see through just like some surface level flaws that I noticed watching it. I listened to a couple reviews, before, between watching it and recording this. And there are a couple of general criticisms that I'll bring up. But just know they didn't really bother me while I watched the movie. I would still say 10 out of 10 best movie ever.
Well, I mean, I was very critical of the generals in the movie too.
Right, of course, yeah. Hey, you know what? That army, too woke. Too
come on.
Too woke.
I don't want to hear anything about critical species. Wait, critical species theory.
Hey, look at how progressive we are. We got a woman ravaging this native nation.
Dude, she was a badass. Dude, don't fuck with a mom. I mean...
She was a badass on the side of evil, so I can't really praise that.
What do you mean?
I mean in the human army, like the humans.
Oh yeah, the humans are fucking assholes.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Naturi, she was a fucking badass.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. She's great.
Yeah, she's great.
No,
she's great.
The new lady general. That's what I was going off on. Like, look how progressive we are. Like, it's not that they did it in the movie, but you see it like in real life. U.S. propaganda, like, hey, look, we're progressive. We got a woman of color doing drone strikes now. Mm-hmm. But you could tell that was kind of the subtext, like, hey, we got a lady one. But they're still doing very violent imperialism. Anyway, I digress. So I want to bring up just so we can get to them, some criticisms that I think don't ruin the experience, but are good points. So first of all, the fact that Jake Sully goes to the water nation, the water tribe,
to seek asylum,
but basically asylum. But the fact that he goes there instead of, staying and fighting, which he's been fighting off this second wave for about a year. So like, why is this the straw that breaks the camel's back? Anyway, that kind of ties into the overall criticism that I agree with, that it is basically the same movie as last time. Because in the first movie, if you remember back to that, Jake Sully was saying, hey, we got to get everyone out of here. We got to evacuate because they're going to destroy us. And then the other people are like, no, we got to stay and fight. Then they stay and fight. Same thing basically happens here. Same general plot points. Even the same bad guy, which I'll get to that. But yeah, it just seems out of character that he would like, especially after his character development in the first movie, it seems kind of out of character.
That in the first movie, he also went to the other tribes and got their support as well. Oh
yeah, and they rallied all together. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, why not just do that again? Why not continue the fight that you've been fighting? Yeah, I don't like that. It didn't ruin the experience for me, but yeah, that is a good point. Really, really out of character. It really feels like they kind of regressed Jake Sully's character overall, because it doesn't feel
I wouldn't
like
say regressed. I think
I guess stagnated would be a better word.
And the thing is, I don't really see it that way, because he's under new circumstances. He has a family. Like he finally has a place, and I think for a while too, like while he was living on Pandora, like he was just like, oh, cool, this is just going to be my life now. I'm just going to hang out with my family in this forest, and it's going to be nice and beautiful, and I'm going to have these children, and they're going to be nice and beautiful. And then
it's like, oh, not again.
Ah, fuck.
I could see how that would like mess with you. But again, he was fighting back for a year before moving.
But the difference is, at least in the first movie, if people died, they weren't anyone he knew. And they weren't people that he loved.
Yeah, but I will push back a little bit, and I'll say, as it is shown in the movie, the bad guy does end up like going around to the water tribes, and he's like, hey, tell me where Jake Sully is, or I will kill all of you. And he ends up burning like all of the homes in one of the tribes. Yeah. So like Jake Sully has no reason to believe that he's not going to do that to the forest Na'vi. All he's doing is just leaving them with no protector. When the bad guy does come back and say, tell me where Jake Sully is, or I will kill all of you. Well,
and that's where I think, and I'm only looking at this like, what would Jake Sully do, right? I think he probably trained someone to like take care of things while he was gone.
Yeah, he did leave someone in charge, but still, I don't know. It just feels... I'm not gonna like die on this hill, but I do agree with the general idea that to that point it doesn't feel very in character that he would do that. But I do agree with the general opinion that it doesn't feel like he has like aged or like progressed since the end of the last movie. Like it feels like in this movie he's the same guy that he was at the end of the last movie. When I feel like there's just some character progression missing, some general, change that should be there that just doesn't feel like it's there.
Well, I mean, I see what you mean, especially like narratively. I think where I see it differently is the fact that he's been out of this war mindset since the first movie for 15 years, and he just wants peace. And he just wants to be with his family. And now the white men are back. But let's make no mistake. Like everyone who came to the Pandora from Earth is white. I find that weird. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
A little bit.
A little odd.
I think
there's one black general.
Maybe.
But like, I don't know.
Predominantly white, for sure.
Predominantly white. And I think that what he was trying to grapple with in the film was the fact that now he has to get back into this war mindset of how to fight this enemy while also protecting his family and what he loves.
Yeah, but he knows that the bad guy will stop at nothing to get to him, and he ends up just having to fight him off anyway, as he did in the first movie. He already learned this lesson. Yeah. That's why I say it feels like they're repeating stuff, but also he hasn't really changed. But anyway, I want to get to more points that I agree with, but I don't think that they ruin the experience. So as I mentioned earlier, it's the same bad guy. It's like they kind of, it's not as egregious as the Star Wars, the one where it's the last one that the Skywalker, the Rise of Skywalker. Let's go with that.
Wow.
Let's go with that.
Did you have a stroke, dude? Shit.
That's what I have to go through every time I have to remember which Star Wars sequel I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the last Skywalker Jedi and the Fallen. Oh, anyway.
Death Star to Avatar.
The one where they're building the Death Star. Oh, that doesn't narrow it down.
Right.
But anyway, so they do like a somehow Palpatine has returned kind of thing, where it's like a clone of the bad guy from the first movie has his memories. I think as a general rule, there are certain tropes that you really want to be cautious introducing to a franchise because of the implications of it. I think time travel is one where you can't really put the genie back in the bottle. Like, for example, in the MCU, what is really stopping them from just using time travel to solve the next big problem? Unless there's unless there is some reason that you can't do it. Like in Harry Potter, I don't think it's the best example of what I'm talking about. But if
Prisoner
you somehow,
of Azkaban, yeah.
If you somehow take away the ability to do the thing, like you can time travel, but for whatever reason we can only do it this time, or like the machine broke and the guy that invented it died, whatever. Like Harry Potter, they destroyed all the time turners. I think that's kind of a lazy way to do it. But
wait, so hypothetically, if I took like a Dremel tool and I put it on the spinny bit of the time turner and just went ham, right? And just let it spin and spin and spin and spin and spin. Like, presumably I could go back to the beginning of time, right?
Yeah, and then you die.
Well, yeah, but if you you choose one dude who might be terminal, you could make so many scientific fucking strides.
Yeah, for sure. But
by just going back to like the dinosaur times.
No, you're right.
Caveman times.
Just have him leave a sticky note with what he found. Then archaeologists dig it up. But anyway, so yeah, if you're going to introduce a thing like time travel, or in this case, cloning, which is what I was trying to get to. Cloning is another concept where if you introduce it, there better be a damn good reason why they don't just keep doing it. And I don't think they give any reason why they can't just, even like the bad guy lives. First of all, he ends up getting saved by Spider, which I liked his character, by the way. I don't know if we'll get to him again, but I'll say I liked his character.
I love the scene where he was just like, they can't put children in cryo, dipshit.
Yeah. I loved just all of his interactions, like just being a teenager and all that, But yeah, even if the bad guy died, there's no reason they can't just bring back 10 of them or a whole army of them. So I think like there better be a good reason why they don't bring him back, and if they do, like, it's just gonna feel cheap.
Exactly. I didn't mind it because I think with the what's the word? What Jesus did, came back from the dead. What's that called?
Resurrection.
With the resurrection of this character, also came a change in context when he realizes his son is still alive.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I think we're going to see some character development there.
Yeah, I think the seeds are planted for some kind of maybe a redemption arc for him. I don't personally care because I don't think he's the kind of villain that needs to be redeemed. I think he's just like the kind of guy that you want to see killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I could take or leave a redemption arc, but I will say they try to play it both ways in this movie in terms of that. Like, hey, you're my son, kind of, and I'm kind of floored that you're here right now. I'm very surprised to see you. Look how you've grown up. Look at your dreadlocks. And they also try to have him be like, oh, you're not really my kid. I hate you. And I'm just using you. but also I love you, kind of in a twisted way.
Right.
Just seems like they can't commit to one or the other.
Right. And like one thing I'm curious about too is if the clone of that general guy, if that clone is like actually aware or like knows all the things that have happened, or if he remembers all the things that have happened, right?
He just has the memories. Like he has the memories and like the personality imprinted on basically just a blank slate brain.
But like I wonder if it's that he doesn't know that he knows, right? And so when he sees his son, it's like this whole branch of his brain that just lights up like, oh yeah, I had this whole thing. Oh yeah, I remember all that, right? That's why like when you see the hesitation in his eyes of like, wait, hold on a fucking second.
Yeah.
I liked that scene a little bit just because it showed that like,
yeah,
there's more than just his orders there.
Yeah, there is something there. I just don't think that it's done particularly well in some of the scenes, because like they kind of scene by scene, it's either like, oh, there's this nuance here and he's my son, but not really, but I have these memories and I care about him, but I don't know why I care about him. Like it's like that for a few of the scenes, but for some of them, it's just flat out like, I hate you, you're not my son, you can kill him if you want, I don't care. And then he just kind of flips to, oh, he's actually my son and I really care.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, because part of me is like not trying to look at this as like a narrative issue, but as a scientific thing.
Yeah, that is how I watched this movie. That's my general attitude watching it. Like I kind of turned off my like narrative criticism brain and turned on my, ooh, look at the pretty colors brain watching this. And I think that's the best way to do it, honestly. Like you will have a better time doing that. But hey, let's close out this particular bit about the bad guy, because I do got to go pick up Haley, and then we can just pick up where we left off. So if you have anything left to say about the same bad guy note, speak now or hold your peace for about a half hour.
I can hold my peace for a half hour.
Okay. But that's all that we had to get to on that.
Should I pause the recording?
Just stop it, export it, send it to me like normal. Then we'll just do a new recording when I get back. All right, audience, smell you later. All right, let's get back into it. All right, we just finished up our thoughts on the bad guy being the same guy from the movie. Again, it contributes to the general idea that this is just kind of plot-wise a repeat of the first movie. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about the motivations for the invading, basically, U.S. Army. Now, in the first movie, it's not just like a straightforward like it's imperialism for sure, but it's not like the U.S. Army is invading to steal resources. Like it's a private army, so it's like, a bit different. It's a bit more, interesting, I think. The idea of like a private company that has like basically the power and the resources of a government.
You mean like the East India Company?
Yeah, like the East India Company, exactly. But yeah, in this movie, it just feels less interesting because it's just basically like it. Like, I know it's like the same guys, right? But it just feels like it's just the United States doing imperialism for the sake of imperialism. Like, sure, they're trying to get resources because, like, they're doing like, the one guy is doing like the whaling and all that.
Yeah.
By the way, visceral scene, very like a gut punch emotionally.
Right.
The whole
especially
thing with
when
the
you
mother
hear
whale.
that, like, oh, by the way, they're smarter than we are.
Yeah, shit's fucked up.
And it's not like they have like technology to like store their information. They just remember it.
Yeah, they just store it all in the noggin. But yeah, that's all to say. Like I said earlier, the movie just emotionally resonates very well. It's very good at what it does. I just want to make it clear. I love the movie. I just want to address some of the criticisms.
One thing that I really liked but found uncomfy was like the idea that this is at all like a fair trade. You know, like even in the first movie, when they were like, yeah, we give them medicine, we teach them English, we show them mathematics, we have all this stuff. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like...
You're still invading them.
But like a transaction is like, if one person says no, then it's off.
Yeah, it can be viewed... It can be viewed as sort of an involuntary transaction. But yeah, with this...
That's the thing. Involuntary completely undermines the idea of a transaction.
Exactly.
Because a transaction is mutual.
Yeah, and like we said in our episode about Avatar, it does very, very much parallel the relationship between, European invaders and the native, the indigenous people in America.
Right. Well, I mean, and the one concept that really kind of put that into perspective for me is just kind of the idea that we can try to find things that we both mutually want. Yeah. Right. But even if you don't have something that you want, I'm going to take what you have anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, to get to the point that I, want to address with this small segment. So like the motives of like the human army, the US Army, whatever entity they are, like the motivations like aren't as strong as in the first movie. Because in the first movie, it's pretty clear like they're trying to get the unobtainium and, all this stuff is, all the colonizing, all of the imperialism, like it's all to get this metal that they can only get here and all that. And there's a bit of it sprinkled in for this movie. It just feels kind of like an afterthought, like, oh, by the way, this stuff from this thing's brain stops human aging. Like it feels like that's an afterthought. And like the primary motivation, especially for like the team that they send in, the avatars, the bad guy avatars, their whole thing is to just track down and kill Jake Sully. Like it's just revenge against one guy. And it feels completely out of character for that entity to put that much time and effort and resources into finding one guy. When if they were consistent with their characterization in the first movie, they would just be like, okay, fuck him, he's out. Let's get the shit that we came here for.
I'd agree with you because like there are some narratives that follow colonialism that's like for instance, the reason that the English were so mad at like Gandhi, for instance, right? Like he was advocating peaceful resistance, right? Which ate into the English's economics when it came to taking spices and salts and fabrics and everything from India. But that's the thing, it ate into their pockets. And the same thing with what Jake Sully's doing, right? They used to have what they consider like a savage species of alien that they thought they could control. They thought they could bribe and control.
Yeah.
And then Jake Sully threw a wrench into that. And assuming that they're already going on very slim profit margins, like I see why they would want him dead. He's the only guy who's actively organizing resistance. Right.
Well, I certainly understand him being a very high priority target while he is active. I think what really does it for me, and I think, I can't speak for everyone that makes this criticism, but I think the general crux of the argument is that like Jake Sully leaves, like he's out of the picture, he flees, to keep his family safe. And at that point, I think you just kind of gotta like let him go. Cause like, what's he gonna do really?
What do you mean by that?
Like he's already on like the back heel. Like he's already like fleeing you, right? He has left the Forest Na'vi, which is like, he was the guy organizing all of the strikes on like their railroads and stuff, on all of like their, their supply chain. He was the guy like behind it all. And if he's gone, like, why are you spending that much time and energy and resources trying to go after him?
Because he's the only guy who knows how to actively and what's the word I'm looking for? Actively and effectively fight against the sky people.
Yeah, but the thing is with that,
but like, and also you can train people to take down like trains. Like that's
true.
not like
That's
you can train them. You
That's
can't,
true.
You can't. He's the only guy who has the know-how.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah.
To organize
that is true. But he is purely on the defense. Like he's purely like on his, like he's relying on like this new tribe, and he's like too busy, frankly, just learning how to live there to really be any threat to them. And I guess like what I take issue with, like in terms of like writing that plot, I guess is that like he's not like a threat to them until they make him a threat again. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't.
That's where I disagree.
Well, like the only reason that the big third act fight happens is that the bad guy, again I forget his name, but the military dude, the clone guy, goes after him relentlessly, and the entire time Jake Sully is trying to just like be invisible, stay out of the way, but then he's kind of backed into a corner and forced to like fight back and take down this aircraft carrier.
Right.
Like the bad guys, in trying to take out their threat, make him even more of a threat.
And I disagree with that, mainly because he's inherently a threat to the humans because of his know-how, and because you can fight against an enemy single-handedly, but it's another thing to get an entire like civilization of people.
Yeah.
To gain that backbone to be able to effectively defend themselves.
Yeah.
Right? And he's the only guy who knows how to do that on the planet, as far as I know.
Right.
Right? Who knows how their weapons work, who knows how their machinery work.
Yeah.
And on top of that, too, the reason he's on the defensive is because he's on the defensive.
Right.
He doesn't have the technology. He doesn't have as much know-how as the squads of military people after him.
Right. Yeah, so, he's just one guy and they're an army.
Right. And on top of that, he has to protect a family.
That's true. Yeah.
Right?
These are all like, correct points.
Right. And so like at the end of the day, he goes to the ocean people so that he can keep his family safe. But I'm not sure for how long he's there, because I think what the plan was for him to go there and then hide out for a little bit and then come back to the jungle so he could actively help them more.
I'd have to watch the movie again to get a better grasp of it. I don't know what his long-term plan is, if he has one. But in terms of how long he's been there, I think they're supposed to have been there for like a few months. Yeah.
So I think what their plan was, they wanted the sky people to just assume that he was still in the jungle and keep looking for him when he was actually in the ocean area. It wasn't until his daughter had a seizure that they had to send a helicopter over, and they tracked that helicopter and found out where he was.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it was a very obscure part of the planet too. So that's why they were like, why is there a helicopter going there?
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to bring up with this, what makes like it, I'm trying to remember now the point that I was going to make, because it was like a few minutes ago when I was going to make it, but it ties in, like the reason that this point like is a problem is because of the thing that I mentioned earlier about how like Jake just kind of, I guess, acts out of character when he leaves the tribe behind. And like I'm trying to grasp at what the point was that I was going to make, but yeah, you brought up how like he's only on the defensive because he's on the defensive, which like that
they don't have the technology, they don't have the know-how, all they have are the people power.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the point that I was going to make is that he should be a threat. He should be a very high priority target for them. He should be the man that they would want to take down the most. But because of the issue that was brought up earlier, because that, him acting out of character, fleeing when I don't think he would have fled, he just kind of makes himself not a threat anymore. So like those two issues kind of go together. Like one issue causes the other thing to be an issue.
So wait, what are the two issues again? So one that...
So it doesn't make sense for the army to be to still have Jake Sully as priority number one when, according to them, they're just trying to like build this city, right? Why are they, putting in so much effort to take out this guy who isn't a threat? But the issue, like the reason he's not a threat is because he's acting out of character.
Okay.
Like after having learned the lesson he learned at the end of the last movie, he should, like where his character is right now, he should be in the mindset of like, no, I got to stay and fight and defend my people.
And you see, I would say like that's an adequate response if he was like born and raised like on Pandora.
Yeah.
Right? But like, I think because he has the burden of knowing too much about his adversary.
Yeah.
So he knows that like they took down the mother tree, for God's sake, right? Like they will turn over this jungle to find me.
Right, but that is exactly what he learned at the end of the last movie. He learned it's not going to do anyone any good to run and hide. Like the whole, like the big plot point, the big thing he had to learn was to not try to hide. He had to like,
well, that was before he had a family.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Remember when his son landed when that train crashed, right?
Yeah.
And they took down that train and his son was like, let's go and see what's going on. Remember how like absolutely livid he was? Like, what the fuck are you doing down here? I gave you expressed orders to stay in the sky.
Yeah. Yeah. I just personally don't think like him having a family overrides just kind of how, I don't know if I want to say poor writing, like how poor the writing is, but I don't think that excuses how kind of repetitive his character arc is. Because like at the end of the day, he is still just relearning the same thing he learned in the last movie. It is different when he has a family, but I don't think that makes it, like, I don't think that's an excuse for the direction that his character went.
And, I guess, for people who are like, his character's all different now. I would say, yeah, it's because his character's different.
Well, no, the problem isn't that it's different. The problem is that he's the same. The problem is that he hasn't grown. He should have grown since the last movie, but he didn't, and he has to relearn the same lesson.
So you're saying that he is the same character, but yeah, he should have stayed in the jungle. I'm
like, he is this like I brought up earlier, he feels like the same guy that he was at the end of the last movie, and simultaneously he still has to relearn the same lesson that he learned in the last movie. Like it feels like he's grown. Like he hasn't grown, and if anything, he's regressed. That's the general argument, I guess, with his characterization. And again, it didn't bother me watching the movie. It wasn't like a glaring issue to me. I just bring it up because that's a criticism that a lot of people have with it. And it's all to say, I enjoyed the movie regardless.
Same.
Yeah.
It was like,
regardless.
Wow, it was really something.
Yeah. Some people say like the Avatar movies, especially this one, are just like glorified tech demos. And I guess like that's not a bad point. Like it's not invalid to say that. But I just think it kind of misses just how beautiful it is, just as like a piece of like, like all the world building and like just constructing a world that feels real. I think it's very impressive.
For sure. Same here.
And for having learned very few of the characters' names, I felt very emotionally attached to a lot of them.
And I felt the opposite. I didn't feel very emotionally attached to them. I think
I will say I felt like attached. I guess that would be a better word to describe how I felt like about like maybe 4 of the characters tops. But I did care generally, even if I didn't learn hardly any of their names.
Well, I found myself being like very unemotional through the entire thing. Like the only time I was like, oh shit, was when that mom whale died.
Yeah.
Mama whale died.
Anyone that didn't feel sad at that is a psychopath.
Yeah. There was that one, and then when Jake's son talks to the whale, is talking to the whale, and the whale's like, "I've been exiled because I attacked or whatever."
Yeah, I like that. I like that subplot.
And then he goes to the chief of the ocean people and is like, "I just saw what I saw. like what you guys have said isn't necessarily true, and he showed me. I want to say mind melded with him, but I know that's not what it is. I did the thing.
Fucked it. He fucked
it.
When Jake Sully and Neytiri touched their braids together, that was them fucking. So he fucked that whale.
Fucking.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he said, I just saw what I saw, and Jake is just like, listen here, boy. You're out of line, boy.
Yeah. I did like that. I do generally like the sort of like character archetype that's like, no, Chief, I know what I saw. I know what I believe in, even if you don't believe in it. And I'm going to show you. I like that. I like that kind of character.
But I understand where Jake's coming from.
Oh yeah, for sure. Cause it's like, we are guests
like
in this place.
Not only guests here, but if we go back to the jungle, we're fucked.
Oh yeah.
Like ridiculous. Like this is the only good place we have.
Yeah.
So be fucking nice. God damn it.
Yeah. They're both
the fight
right.
They had. The one part where I was like, good on you, was when they went hunting and it was like a fake hunting thing.
Oh yeah.
Right. And they leave him in the middle of the fucking ocean, and then he comes back
sucks.
and the chief is just like, I'm sorry, my son should have known better. I give my sincere apologies. And Jake's son is like, it was my idea, even though it wasn't.
Yeah.
I was like, good on you, man. Fuck yeah. That's how you do it.
Nah, that frustrates. Like, I understand why, like, he did that. Like, I understand how that serves his character progression, like, you know, being responsible or whatever. Not even
character, just the whole, objectively, that whole situation was defused.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it made relations just generally better.
No, that is true. I understand that. That being said, I would have been such a petty bitch about it. Like, no, like, yeah, no, you should apologize.
Motherfucker left me out there.
Yeah, you should kill him. Want to kick him in the balls.
I want ritual combat.
Yeah,
with him.
I get a weapon, he doesn't.
I want to fuck his girlfriend
in front of him, looking at him in the eye.
And I want to record it and make sure he watches it every month.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had 2 wishes I could wish this holiday season. First would be the crap about the kids. And the second would be to fuck that guy's girlfriend in front of him and record it and make him watch it every month. Yeah, no, I felt so like, no, fuck him. You don't stand up for him. He's terrible. He's been nothing but racist. Well,
I thought, like, I kind of was like, well, he certainly has social currency here, because he could, like, when I first saw that, I was like, yeah, he could just be like, it's all good. I'm fine. Yeah, it's good. We're cool.
Yeah, the way I thought of it is that, like, that's not the guy that you want as your friend. You don't want him to like you. Like I understand not wanting him. Like, I understand wanting him off your back, but you don't want to be friends with him. Like, there is doing a harmless prank, and then there is leaving someone in the middle of the ocean.
But you also have to remember that they're kids too.
I guess. I don't know if that, like
kids do dumb shit, dude. Like, they do stupid, dumb shit.
Yeah, like, they'll make you lick a flagpole in the middle of December, but, like, shit was dangerous. They probably expected him to die.
Dude, when my mom was a kid, you know what kids would do? They would just jump on open trains while they're moving. Just for a little train ride.
Yeah, I think that's different, though, because that was just, like, them collectively being stupid together. It wasn't like, hey, let's all gang up on this one kid and push him in front of a moving train.
You don't think they did that in the days? You don't think kids do that?
Whatever. I'm just saying I would not want that kid to be my friend.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, no, fuck them.
What I'm saying is they're in a very particular socio-political situation.
That is true. Yes.
And that gave him some particular clout there.
Yeah.
Some particular social currency.
Yeah.
That he could be like, it's all good, man. As long as my family's good with your family, we can fight a war together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just would not be able to, like,
I almost died for your sake. Maybe you should almost die for my sake.
Yeah, I just would not be able to look at that guy the same after that. Like up until that point, the kid was a general shit, you know, but nothing that's like unforgivable. But if someone left me to die, like, I think I'd be like, nah.
Okay, but you also know why he didn't tell the chief, right?
Why?
Beyond just a political situation, he like told the kid who left him out there. He was just like, sorry, when the kid who left him out there came up to him and was like, hey, why did you tell my dad that I left you out there? He's just like, I know what it feels like to like feel like you're a disappointment to your father. I wanted to spare you from that.
Yeah.
Like, I know how that feels, and I'd prefer you just to not have to deal with that.
That's fair. That is fair. I remember that part. But I feel not to keep pushing back on it, but I feel like it's not the same because, like, and again, I don't remember either of their names, but the kid that's the miniature Jake Sully, like, his whole thing is he's constantly compared to his brother. You know, he's not as good as his brother. You know, his dad wishes that he was his brother. Like all that. Like that's, you know, whatever. But that kid left him to die. I feel like it's a little different. Like, maybe that kid deserves to be a disappointment because of his actions.
Well, and that's the thing. But, like, when he did come up to, like, Jake Sully and was like, hey, so I noticed your son's not back yet because I left him in the middle of the ocean. I thought he would be able to find his way back home. I'm sorry.
Did we see that? Did we see that interaction? Because I remember that just happening off screen, and then, like, then they're like, oh, where's my kid? Where is he?
Like, I just remember, like, I think it was the chief's daughter was like, where is this kid that I like?
Yeah.
And he was just like, I don't know. And she's like, you totally do know. You guys were playing together earlier today. Where is he? And he's just like, left him in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah, I feel like at that point, you can't just use the excuse of, I didn't know better. Like, if you're old enough to, like, hunt and shit, like, you're old enough to know not to leave.
Okay.
Like, you're old enough to at least
know
that if you leave someone out there, they will die.
I guess if you're like a ocean avatar person and you meet a jungle avatar person, given that I assume they haven't traveled the world to see how other people live, but, like, I wouldn't, if I were them, like, not knowing that they, like, kind of exist, you know, like,
well, they, like, know of each other. They don't know, like, they're not well acquainted.
But, like, what information does he have to know that he wouldn't survive that? Well,
I think, like, it's not like it's their first day there. Like, they've been there at least long enough to establish, like, I mean, they all recognize, all of the water avatar, all the water Na'vi recognize very well upon first glance, oh shit, these people are built different and worse for this environment.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I feel like the assumption would be that this kid would not survive out here on his own.
I mean, I see your point.
Yeah, and I don't want to stay on this forever, so I'll let you have the last word on this point.
I just think, Alex, that you're a stupid idiot and you don't know what you're talking about.
Look, I said I'd let you have the last word, and I will do that.
You're like Jake's cousin, Jake Dummy. Did you like
Jake
that one?
Sully these nuts.
Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if they're like these aliens and they're only it's like the exact same thing as Avatar, but the only thing they know in English is like D's nuts, and all the associated English jokes that go along with that. So, like, a dude, like a normal, like, human dude comes down and he's just like, oh, do you know what dragons are? And the alien kid is like, dragging these nuts on your face. That's all he knows.
Yeah. Like how Yoda, like, talks backwards. They always end with these nuts.
Nuts dragging on your face, I am.
Yoda, I'm looking for a planet. I'm trying to find a planet. Planet these nuts, you will. I'm not going to do the voice. Go to Dagobah these nuts. Dagobah these nuts you should go to.
go. You good to go to. You should.
Anyway,
know,
Avatar. Avatar
The
2,
Last Airbender,
best movie ever, I would say.
Actually, honestly, like it's up there.
Oh yeah, Spider. I mentioned Spider earlier. I liked him a lot.
I think it was fucking stupid of him. Okay.
I think it was before you get into that,
of him to even save that guy.
Quickly, I will say it felt like he was too like he wasn't upset enough with his situation. Like he felt too eager to like go on the gun helicopter.
He seemed too okay with it, especially when he knows enough that he could have just led them astray.
Yeah, he didn't seem like a hostage. Like at any given moment, I was like, okay, so run away now. Try to escape. And he just never did. And then he was like kind of bonding with the guys. I was like, this does not feel appropriate.
Like, how can you still bond with them after they just like slaughtered a village?
Yeah, these are just there's not even any nuance to it. These are bad people.
Yeah. You actively saw him threaten the only family you know.
Yeah. Like
with deadly force. Like,
yeah. Like,
motherfucker put an AK-47 to someone's head.
Yeah, like they will not hesitate to burn down a village. And you know this from the start. Like he knew like about his dad. He knew he was a terrible guy. He knew what he did. And like, yeah, there was some animosity there, but I feel like, yeah, he was just too eager to like be like with the guys. Like he like wanted to be on the gun in the helicopter, and they were like, "No, son, you're not old enough."
Oh, no.
And like, why would you want any part of that? Why would you want to man the machine that kills your people?
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, especially for like him being like raised basically by the Na'vi, like that's the strong association with the people who have actively tried to kill your people.
Right. Well, it's like if during the 60s, like some US soldiers kidnapped a Vietnamese kid, and the Vietnamese kid was like, "Wow, these guys are cool. I'm going to use their flamethrower
against my own village."
I want to man the napalm.
Right. One thing that I was just like, fucking really? Because like we're both human. Like we've heard stories of people being like, yeah, I met my birth dad. He's kind of a fucking asshole, and I'll never follow him into anything. Right. And just to see him be like he's underwater walking, trying to get to the surface, right? Because he has a mask on and is all good. And he sees his dad there just twitching. Just like,
yeah.
And like, I was like, cool, just fucking leave him. Good.
Right. Good yeah. Riddance. Like, while that was happening, I was like, no.
Asshole.
No.
Don't pick
You're
him
not.
up.
No, you're. Oh, he's doing it. Oh, he's.
And no, and the whole time he was doing it, I was like, I hope you don't have enough oxygen.
Yeah. I thought for sure he would be dead by now.
Yeah.
Because like he was passed out underwater. But doesn't your body
these
like.
These are Na'vi though. They're not human.
That's fair.
They're not. They ain't human. So we have to. That's where like I get your point though. It's like you can't just Deus Ex not Machina this shit.
Yeah. The way I generally. The way I think of it. Generally with species that are close enough to humans, like Na'vi, for all intents and purposes, are just humans asterisk. Like they're humans, but they're 10 feet tall with blue skin. They look like cats. They got tails. They got like carbon fiber bones or whatever. But like with that kind of stuff, you're generally supposed to just assume that it works along the same lines as the human body, just for the sake of simplicity and like understanding the story.
Right. Like, I mean, they have a head and four limbs. Yeah.
Like I don't think they ever said that they breathe.
Do they even shit?
We don't know, but
I've never seen. Would that get caught up in your tail?
I mean, cats shit.
Do they crouch when they shit?
I don't know.
I mean, humans crouch when they shit, so never mind. That's a dumb question.
Yeah. I would say probably, yeah, they do. But that's all to say. Yeah, you can't just Deus Ex Machina your way out of. This guy is passed out underwater. He should be inhaling water.
He would be filled with water, right? And like, I don't know. It's just like, it's like, kid, you have one thing. Also, he doesn't even look like you because he's an avatar body.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying that should determine where your loyalties are, but he's shown a history of like being a fucking asshole before and after being in a Na'vi avatar body.
Yeah. To the extent that you know this man, you know he's horrible.
You know he's horrible, right? And like, I mean, maybe he has like fucking what is that one Swedish thing? Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, I could see that being a thing, like combined with like meeting your dad for the first time. Like dad shit will fuck you up.
I mean, yeah, but
yeah, I still do disagree with like the way that he's kind of, written, basically. Like,
and then like if you're gonna save him, you might as well just fucking go with him. Are you shitting me here?
Yeah, you might as well just be fully on his team. Like,
you might as well just join the squad.
Here's the thing with that. Here's the thing with like saving the irredeemable bad guy. It works when you firmly establish that the character is very like, he has like a no killing policy, or like, he can't stand to see, death in any form. Like Spider-Man, Batman, characters that have like a solid no killing policy. I'm not going to let anyone die on my watch. They don't really establish that for Spider. They don't establish that for this kid. Like, there's no reason that he wouldn't let this guy who's been threatening to kill his entire, like, his family, basically, like for the entire movie. There's no reason for him to just like save that guy. Like, I mean, maybe he wouldn't necessarily kill him, but why would he save him?
On a slight deviation, I think it would be kind of funny if it turns out that like the avatar bodies are just like riddled with cancer because they just didn't foresee that they would be in avatar bodies for so long.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, I'm 32. See ya. Bleh.
Yeah.
Dies of fucking tail cancer.
Jesus. Yeah, that would be fucked. Yeah, like,
dude, imagine if he's just like,
imagine like the lab guys. Imagine the lab guys are like, hey, listen, we designed these things to work for collectively 2 months. These things were not designed.
First movie.
These things were not designed with long-term planning in mind.
Jake Sully just fights off the Skymen in the first movie, and he's like, "Wow, I'm gonna start a family now, and I feel funny."
Yeah. Grace is like, by the way, we both have cancer.
By the way, also Grace. She's like a chain smoker, so like, yeah, at least her human person,
her human form, yeah,
right. I wonder what would happen if a fucking Na'vi just smoked a cigarette.
I don't know. Probably be weaker for them, wouldn't it? Because they're like,
maybe assuming that nicotine affects them the same way.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's up to James Cameron,
right?
Yeah,
wouldn't it be funny if it just had no effect on them and they're just like, "What the fuck is this?" And it's like, tell you what, we'll trade you these we'll trade you these cigarettes if you trade us this whale brain matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are they vaping too? What the fuck's up with that?
Yeah. I like to imagine like the Na'vi would be like, this shit's weak. I like give them like bath salts cut with crocodile, and they'd be like, this shit's weak.
This is
we give stronger stuff than this to our babies for their headaches.
Right.
You want some real shit? Try death sticks. Yeah, from Star Wars.
That's right. We got so high that we made fucking went to a different universe and learned about death sticks from Star Wars, presumably in the same, like, presumably Star Wars is a movie in this universe. So
yeah, you know that part when Obi-Wan Kenobi, when the guy is like, hey, you want some death sticks? And then Obi-Wan's like, you gotta go home and rethink your life. Yeah, we staked out his house. Then we went inside and we were like, don't rethink your life. We'll buy your entire supply.
You know what's actually funny?
What?
I hate to go across genres here, but the dude who
had the death sticks actually did go home and rethink his life because he was under a Jedi mind trick, and he actually turned his life around.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that little tidbit of
lore. It's really cute.
It's really,
he had a kid and everything. Really awesome. Great. And the kid went on to serve in the Imperial Army, and he destroyed so many families and villages.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then died in battle.
Yeah.
And then his body was incinerated unceremoniously.
Shit. Bad
JK,
universe.
I don't know what happened to him.
Bad universe, I'd say. I would not want to live in the Star Wars universe. Shit sucks.
Anyway.
Avatar 2, best movie ever.
It is. God, there's one other thing I want to bring up. Welp, I forgot. So, best movie ever. Shit. Oh, yeah, that was it. So, like, I thought at least, like, Neytiri would be like, hey, that's a baby human. That spider kid is a baby human. Mm-hmm. He's not the way those generals were. He's a baby human. And if Jake Sully is any example, humans can change. They can be good people. Yeah. Right? And I was kind of hoping she'd be like, oh, this baby human is actually adorable and he's awesome and I love him. But instead she's just like, he should be with his own kind.
Yeah.
And she goes full on like segregation mode on him.
Yeah. I mean, that just kind of ties into the fact that everyone in this franchise is racist.
Yeah. Shit. Because I thought the whole idea of like a human growing up with the Na'vi was like super fucking awesome. Like a great, like, I wonder how this goes.
Yeah. No, it's a cool thing. Yeah, I definitely want to see like this world fleshed out more. That's kind of how I felt watching this movie. I feel like we've kind of like this world has outgrown the like imperialism plot. That's why I feel so disappointed that like the plot is kind of the same, you know, with compared to the first movie. 'Cause like the first movie was good. Like I liked it, but my favorite part was fleshing out this world and, you know, exploring everything and meeting the characters.
Right.
And I feel like this movie would have been more enjoyable for me if we didn't have to still be dealing with, because one, it feels like nothing has changed. It feels like nothing really got better. Like it feels like we're still on the same shit. Like they didn't really, like they won the last battle just for them to come back again and for the fight to continue. And like, I don't know. I just feel like I wish we could just move on to more things, maybe explore some kind of like inter-tribe relations, you know.
That's what we just saw.
Well, what I mean, like without the external threat of, you know, the invading army. Like I would like to see a story that's just the Na'vi interacting with each other and, you know, dealing with some kind of internal threat as opposed to just fighting off the human army again. That's just
yeah, there are some Na'vi who are like, you know, the humans have a point.
I just feel like
I never really liked that tree anyway. It was kind of drafty.
I just want something different, even if it was like, because like again, the chunk in the middle that was just them learning how to adapt to this new environment, that was my favorite part of the movie, and I wouldn't mind a story that's just along those lines.
Na'vi on Earth. That's what I want to see him on. I want to see him like, oh, this is how you live?
Yeah. Damn, bitch, you live like this?
Damn. Man, like, and you guys just like developed like this? Oh, no.
You guys did capitalism? We tried that shit for a week and we decided it sucked.
No, we you know, we had this black stuff in the ground and we liked burning it, and then like everything got hot. And so we had to burn more of it. Oh, and
so you didn't know that the stuff was heating up your planet, right? No, we knew. No, we were well aware.
Yeah.
We just really wanted to keep burning it.
Right. So now we're coming to your place because we're kind of uncomfy now in our place.
Yeah.
And actually, regardless of, we also have a moon that orbits our planet that has like countless resources.
Right.
And we could fix all of our problems if we just fixed them.
Yeah. That actually reminds me, you bringing that up, that reminds me, one particular line. The lady general is like, yeah, we're building the city here because we kind of fucked up our own planet. Remember that line?
Talking to when they were on the construction site, right?
Yeah, Earth's fucked. We got to rebuild.
We gotta,
Like, first, I will say it's realistic. That being said, it frustrated me.
Oh yeah,
but I'm not frustrated at the movie. I'm just frustrated that this is how our government operates. This is just how like we operate as a people. But it frustrates me.
We shoot ourselves in the foot, and we're like, I didn't know guns did that.
Yeah, well, it frustrates me that they, one, let the planet get fucked. But two, the solution is colonize an alien world that's like 100 million light years away, as opposed to just rebuilding at home where the air is presumably still breathable.
Where the air and not death is.
Yeah, where you don't have to fight off an entire planet's population to get your foot in the door.
Hey, rather than fix the problems that we have here, socially, economically, and environmentally, how about we sail like 3 light years through inky black death?
Yeah.
To go to another planet that's slightly less, but still very deadly.
Yeah. That's the
with
thing,
people
though.
Who hate us.
That's the thing, though. Like, it's frustrating, but not because the movie's bad. It's because we're bad. Like, it's entirely realistic. Yeah. And that's the frustrating 100%. Part.
Well, and that, so like there was a whole like thing about how people got depressed after watching the first Avatar movie.
Yeah.
Not because they were sad about like the narrative, but because they wanted to be a part of the Na'vi.
I know. I felt that walking out of the theater, like, oh, I gotta return to my life.
My life sucks. Ugh. I just want to go in the forest and go to a home tree and sing some songs.
I want to commune with Awa. Shit seems fire.
I want a fucking like tentacle dreadlock.
Yeah, it just seems cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I remember him bringing this up. Like, he makes this point whenever the conversation of like, hey, should we terraform Mars comes up. Like, his point, like his position on it is, why don't we just terraform Earth?
Yeah,
we already have Earth like most of the way there to being inhabitable. We just kind of fucked up some shit. Why don't we just unfuck the planet? That's easier than terraforming Mars.
Right. Well,
if we can terraform Mars, why can't we just stop our fossil fuel consumption?
You know how, like, by order of magnitude, how easier it is just to like save our own planet at this current moment than it is to terraform Mars. I love the ADHD that this fucking planet has. And they say I have ADHD. They're like, no, you can't fucking think things through. And I'm like, motherfucker, have you seen the coral reefs?
Yeah. Well, like, that's the thing. Like, it's not like the solutions to our problems is like what we do isn't determined by what's the right thing to do. A lot of the time it's just what's the most profitable for the people giving us money.
Right.
That's the whole reason that we spend so much money on war. Like, we don't spend money on war for any kind of, I mean, like, it's dressed up with like an ideological veneer, but it's just because of the military industrial complex. Like, they dump a bunch of money into like elections and stuff, and they do a bunch of lobbying, and then the politicians are like, hey, we got to give a bunch of money to Raytheon, and then Raytheon makes money, even though it costs the taxpayers so much fucking money.
Right. Well, and my state and local government teacher made a really good point that was like really enlightening to me. He's just like, the reason that a lot of government sectors don't operate well when they're run like a business is because a lot of the services that the government gives out aren't equitable.
They're
true. Services that we need, they're just not equitable.
That's exactly the point that I was trying to make last week about NASA.
Exactly. Moving human shit from like a house to a shit refinery plant. It's not like there's no money to be made there, but it has to be done because there's still shit in the streets.
Yeah.
Well, like, also, collecting trash isn't like equitable.
Yeah. Also, the profit motive is not a good thing for a lot of things that we need. Like, it's not good to have the profit motive run our healthcare system, because like the entire industry isn't centered around providing care for the most people. It's centered around making money. And that's like that's an inelastic good. Like, you can't just choose to go without healthcare. You can't choose to go without garbage disposal. You can't just choose to have your trash pile up in your yard. It has to go
and it's
somewhere.
Funny too. Like, and whenever like a group of people decide, like, you know what, I'm just not going to deal with this shit. We'll just help each other out, and I'll give you food if you look at my sore arm. And
that is communism, and therefore you will be destroyed by the U.S. military.
Did you hear about that one lady? I forget. I think she's in California, but she was like, this old lady just feeding homeless people because she's just like, they're hungry and I have food and I don't like the idea of people being hungry, so I'm feeding them.
Yeah, and then some cities will have ordinances that are like, no, you can't feed the homeless.
You can't feed them, and it's like, why? Because we can't exploit them.
Yeah, you can give your buddy a sandwich, but if your buddy is a homeless guy you just met, no, you can't give him a sandwich.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, that shit's fucked. That's all to say that makes it kind of realistic. Like the whole thing with the military going to the other planet and doing this shit there. Like, yeah, it's realistic. Just like how like terraforming Mars seems like more of an option, like more of a viable option than just fixing the problems here. Just because it would probably make companies, like it would be more profitable for the companies doing the terraforming.
Right.
Because we'd probably be outsourcing the labor to the private sector.
Yeah.
And that private sector would probably lobby for the terraforming to happen on Mars.
Yeah.
That's why money in politics is a problem. Like that profit motive, that like that the special interest like should not be influencing our public policy. This shit's fucked.
Just like let's just do a mind experiment real quick. Imagine a world much like our own, except you don't do
easy. Give me a harder challenge.
So if you don't do things for a paycheck and you're not worried about like getting money, you do things because you like to do them because that's what you felt called to do.
Because it's fulfilling, yeah.
Because it's fulfilling, and you just did it. And even if it's not fulfilling, you do it because it needs to be done for everyone, for the good of everyone, and yourself. And there's no like monetary price put on that. But if you break your arm, at least there's a dude that you can talk to about that for free, who also is doing things for the good of everyone. I'm not saying that's like a perfect system, but what I'm saying is it like...
I cannot stress how much you are describing communism.
Yeah, I know. But okay, listen, I think there are good things about money. I don't think currency is an inherently bad thing. And I don't think doing things for currency is an inherently bad thing.
Yeah.
I think just like once it reaches a point where people are working 40 hours a week and can't afford rent, that's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I've said before.
Not sorry.
Like, I'm not... Like, I do like the idea of like like the moneyless society, like all that, like, you work because it's needed and fulfilling and all that, and you get your needs covered. I don't, necessarily think it's the best model for everything, like, entertainment, like luxuries that doesn't need to be, managed by the state or whatever.
Like what happens when you have like too many people doing one thing and it's like you have an overabundance of one thing and it's like, I get it. It's not
isn't
perfect.
That what's happening now? Like, aren't there like shortages of like certain like sectors of jobs?
Oh yeah, and it's weird because it's like, and this is where like capitalism I've seen kind of like exacerbate the issue, where there's a shortage in one sector, so they go and put a bunch of incentives into doing that one job, and then a bunch of people flock to it, and then they have too many people because a lot of people were scrambling to get good paying jobs.
Yeah.
And then they have an overabundance of people in this job, but an underabundance. It's just this constant pendulum swing, right?
Yeah.
And of course, once you have an overabundance of people in that job, and since that happens kind of quickly now with how quick information can get around, like those advantages, the advantages of taking that job go away pretty quickly once they have an overabundance of people to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And to that point, I don't, like, I'm not an expert. I'm not an economist or anything, but
I'm not either.
Oh yeah. Like, this is two dudes just shooting the shit about how the world
drinking
could
bubbly
work.
Water. Like,
that's great. The way I think of it, I figure, and this is not an entirely educated take, but I figure under like a communist system where you just do like you do work because it's fulfilling and needed, and you get all the stuff that you need / want like taken care of. Like you don't pay for it, there's no money involved. I figure you would apply for what you like, the job that you want, and like the system would find like the closest match that you're qualified for, that's available. And like I think a lot of people would tune out at that point, like at that point in the discussion, because it's like, oh, that's totalitarian.
Yeah.
Like the knee-jerk reaction is, oh, that's totalitarian, they can't tell you what to do. But that's kind of what we have now.
What's going on
we
now?
already have to apply for jobs, and even if you're qualified, a lot of times you don't get the job because of reasons that are outside of that. So I don't see it as that different. But yeah, what I was saying before, I'm totally on board with necessities being like post money, if you will. Like you shouldn't have to worry about having enough money to pay for food, water, shelter, stuff that you would die without.
Can I bring up a point too? I think we should like back up from the term communism as it is.
It is kind of like a trigger word for a lot of people, but that is what it is.
But like the irony is though, like the irony is that like when I took an economics class in college, the professor was just like, this is capitalism, but we call it the market system now because the term capitalism is now very stigmatized.
More like crapitalism. But she still that's what I call it.
What?
More like crapitalism.
And she's like, but they don't change the term for communism? Like just call it.
Well, yeah, because they want the term communism to be demonized.
Right. Just call it the labor exchange market system.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
You're just exchanging labor.
That is what it is. Yeah. No, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this conversation. This is the level of nuance that I want to have in a conversation like this. I just want to say I'm enjoying this.
Oh yeah, good. I am too. Yeah. And I don't mean to say, and one last point, and I'll shut up. And I don't mean to say that everything about capitalism is awful and everything about communism is great. There are obviously issues with both, and like I just having a system that is hyper both of either of those is terrible.
Sure. Yeah. The point that I wanted to make is sort of in line with that, where like I think for resources that you need, stuff that you can't just choose to go without, we should be post money on that. Like shelter, food, water, healthcare, all that should be just something you get. Like that should just be something you're entitled to as a person living here on this planet.
Exactly. Yeah.
When it comes to like luxury stuff, like, like diamond encrusted watches, a PS5, like that's I don't
the thing though. Like
let me finish. I don't know how.
No, I won't let you finish.
Okay. Thank you for edging me. This is, what I'm
so sorry. Continue, please.
So, that's the thing that I don't know how you would do it. But anyway, to back up, I feel like that kind of stuff can be left up to a private market, as long as like every business within that sector is, like worker owned. I still feel like the traditional ownership model is very exploitative, at least under our system. Maybe it would be different in a system where everyone has everything taken care of, because you're not desperate to work just anywhere under that system. Like it can be a lot more equitable, but I feel like that can be left up to a private market as long as there are proper, precautions. But I don't know how you would mix those. Like I don't know how you would be post money but also use money. That's kind of where I just say I don't know. And I'm not an economist. I can't really prescribe one system or another. I can just I generally know what has been shown to work, what I have seen, I just know what I have seen.
Well, and it depends on like a lot of things in my mind. It's like depending on like what kind of society you're starting with. So like in America, we're generally capitalist, and then like in Russia, they're generally more socialist, right? Like just generally speaking, those are two opposite sides. So if you're starting from like a capitalist side, trying to meet that middle ground, right? I think it would be through the means of regulation, right?
Yeah.
So like you can own your own apartment building, but you can't charge them $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
If they're not making that. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. But if we're talking about just what is ethical, I still don't know if it's ethical for one person to own an apartment building. Like,
also, you can't own all the property in town.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you just can't. That's dumb. No.
Yeah. I just feel like it's not right to own someone else's house. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if there's an apartment building full of people, like, they should all have like either like a stake in the, again, I'm not an economist, so I can't write up like a perfect plan for it. But generally speaking, I don't think it should just be one person owning the building that they all pay money to. I feel like that's just too close to like a lord system. I think, they should either all have a stake in the ownership of the building, or they should, be able to own their apartment. I don't know how.
I like how condos work.
Kind of, yeah. Basically, yeah. I don't know enough to like lay out what my perfect system for that would be. But yeah, I don't think landlords are very ethical as just a concept.
And especially with something that's so like, you're either here or you're like homeless.
Right. Yeah. That's why I say like we should be post money when it comes to stuff that you cannot live without.
Right. Right. And that's the thing. Like, can't I just live?
Yeah.
Why can't I just live?
Right. Yeah.
Like
that's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. Just like what, like, and I've been wanting to like talk about this on the show. 'Cause like, we talk about capitalism and socialism and all that. Like, capitalism, I view it as sort of like a game that we're all forced to play. You know what I mean? Like it's it's fine on a small scale if you want to have like a lemonade stand or whatever. Like, whatever. As long as everyone has their needs taken care of. I feel like if you don't already have a right to housing and food and water and all that, like, capitalism just feels like a coercive game. And it can be good for some people if you want to climb the corporate ladder, all the power to you. If you just want to vibe, if you just want to like, work part-time at a shop and, paint, if you want to do that with your life, you should be allowed to. You
shouldn't have to go into debt to do a sabbatical.
Right. Yeah. Like
as long as you're doing something, like as long as you're up to something, like you shouldn't have to go into debt and take out a loan to do a sabbatical.
I understand that you can't just have a society full of people not contributing any value, but I just don't see that happening in reality. Like, I don't see any kind of system, even if it's like, how did you describe communism? Like
labor exchange market.
labor exchange system. Like, under that, some like, pro capitalism people will say like, oh, no one would work. I just don't see that being the case. I don't see that happening, because there are some people that just don't want to do anything. I say let them. Fuck it. Why not? Because there are like most people are willing to put some time into something, as long as like if their needs are met and they know like, hey, this is an important thing. I got a good gig here. If I just, work whatever, like 15 hours a week at this place, if the conditions are fine, like, people aren't going to have a problem with that, I think. And people don't like, we have enough people and enough resources that not everyone has to work full time. Like, if we just distributed labor in a more efficient way, people could work like half the hours that they work now. We'd still have a functioning system. We'd still be producing enough.
Oh yeah. Like how there was actually a study done on something like that. So like with the 1 day less work week, so it's a 4-day work week, right? They found out that productivity actually went up, because when you're burnt out, you take mini breaks throughout the day while you're working.
Yeah, and that's something that we've talked about on the show before. Yeah.
Right. And so you end up being more productive because you feel refreshed enough that you don't have to take those breaks.
Yeah. And the other thing that like I think about in terms of in that respect, we are productive enough and then some, because our whole system is built on producing more and more stuff, producing more and more value. Every company, their goal is to have more like market value every quarter, produce more thing, increase production, whatever percentage every quarter. If we stagnate under capitalism, it's a very bad thing. But if we stagnate in a system where we're just trying to produce enough stuff that we're not going without, like stagnation is good. Like, hey, we hit the we hit the amount of productivity that we need. We don't need to go any further. You don't need to work more hours for less pay. Like, we're good. We're just good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like that's something that, like we brought this up last week. Like, that's just the economic mindset that we have, I view as something to get over. And that's actually what Karl Marx wrote.
And to an extent, I agree with that. But at the same time, so like if you have like just a labor exchange market sort of system, the issue that you run into is just general inefficiency with that, because you have to make sure that the person that you're trading with has what you want as well. As bartering, basically, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's industrial sized bartering, and it's good sometimes. Like, that idea could be good because there's no money involved, and then essentially, if you're looking at it from a capitalist point of view, everyone's getting what they want for free.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's something. Also, sorry, I'll let you finish.
At the same time, also that bartering system also can improve relationships, which also improves like just general society. Anyway.
Yeah, it's just good to know your community.
Exactly. But also capitalism has its advantages in that you have a medium of exchange. So like I can quantify however many loaves of bread that you have by however many dollars someone says it's worth. But also it makes that system more efficient because then you can have more transactions going on.
Yeah.
And it's more precise in that there's a definitive value.
Yeah.
Exact value to what is being exchanged, right? So there's you can't mistake, a bale of hay being worth however many cartons of wine or champagne or what, right? Like you have a medium of exchange and a medium of comparison.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, in terms of like the efficiency of it, my understanding is that like the idea is that under like a communist system, you would have basically like the state, some kind of centralized authority, whatever it is, whether it's the state, whether it's something else, whatever you want to name it. And the idea is that they basically every year, every quarter, whatever, some fixed amount of time, they say, all right, so for the next X amount of time, we're going to tally up how much each household needs. And I mean, you could like tie it in with the census, honestly, but you figure out like,
are you talking about the consumer price index?
No, I could see how you think that's what I'm getting to, but no, like, so the idea is you tally up what people need, right? Like, okay, they're going to need this amount of food. That doesn't really change. All that would make that change is just the number of people living here, but they need this much food, and they can sign up and say, I want, this amount of clothing. I want this, whatever. Basically like shopping, but you do it all at once and you don't pay for it. And then they take that list of stuff that is needed and they say, all right, baker, make this much bread, so on and so on with the different sectors. Then they just make as much as they need and nothing more. And there's, very little waste, if any. So, that idea combined with, and keep in mind, I'm not an economist, but I do know that, the idea of communism generally is that it's a stateless and moneyless society. So I don't know how the stateless aspect meshes with the centralized authority. So I don't know if that centralized authority is part of like actual communist ideology, or if that's just something that was come up with after the fact.
Well, I mean, I would say like just in general, what is it? A government-less society, like a
stateless society.
A stateless society.
That part I don't necessarily agree with.
That's not possible. I mean, listen, Thomas Paine kind of outlined that.
Yeah.
He said, if the impulses of man were understood and irresistibly obeyed, men would need no other lawgiver. But that not being the case, we sacrifice a portion of our profits for the right to keep the rest.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Yeah, that's all to say. Like that's I don't view that as like a weakness of communism or like an oversight on like the part of Karl Marx. That's just to say I don't know personally.
Yeah,
like that's just a gap in my understanding.
Right, and I would also say too, like a labor market exchange or labor exchange market idea like sounds good if you really like what they are offering, like it's great to have free bread as long as you like bread and as long as you're not like gluten intolerant.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it adapted. Like I don't think there's any reason that you couldn't adapt that to like a society where some people can't have bread. Like bread is that's just the go-to example of food. It could be anything, like, there's many apples or whatever. Not everyone eats apples, but you get what I'm saying.
And then also, like, what are you going to do with, like, Arizona? What does Arizona have that anybody wants? It's a desert.
The idea...
What about Nevada?
The idea is, you've probably heard the famous saying, like, it's like the first thing that you hear about when you hear about communism, but it's from each according to their ability to each according to their need. If you're not able to provide much, you're not punished for it. Like, if you're Arizona and you don't produce that much, like, we're not just going to say, fuck you, go without. Like, you're part of the union. Like, we're going to take care of you. Just like how currently some states, like, net give taxes to the government. Some states take taxes. We already have that.
Alabama.
There's like, there's not really much difference in that respect.
Like, pretty much Texas, California, and New York and Florida are like propping up the the United States government.
Yeah, so there's no reason to complain about that being the case under communism / labor exchange market or a system. That's just the main point that I wish more people would understand. Like, there may be some downsides to communism or a labor exchange system. To the extent that there are downsides, which I'm not, like, I would never deny that there are downsides to any given economic system, but to the extent that there are downsides, they're not that much different to what we have now. And if anything, some of them, like I think the benefits outweigh the possible risks, at least from my perception.
Even to people who like disagree with these ideas or like are adamantly against anything that even smells like communism.
Well, it's definitely not beyond the pale.
Right, but like even for people who are like against this idea in general, like the fact of the matter is we can both agree that sometimes in society shit's shitty.
Yeah.
And we can point out various things that we both agree, even people who hate communism that are shitty in our society. The thing I think that differs is that the people who are like adamantly against communism are like, well, then you just have to pull up your bootstraps and get to work and work.
What if you don't have bootstraps?
What if you don't have, what if you don't have bootstraps? But also, like, that only feeds into the system even more.
Yeah.
Like, it's designed, some of these systems are designed so that you can never have any upward mobility.
Right. Yeah. That's the heart of a lot of these the problems with capitalism.
So that you're consistently caught in the working poor. So you're working 40 hours only so you can live, so you can work, so you can live, so you can work.
Yeah. Right? I think I sent you this, but Kyle Kulinski did a segment on an economist. I forget the guy's name, but he was like calling into this news show. I forget which network it was, but he was like calling in on like, in like a Zoom call, and he was on like a tropical paradise just to set the stage. So this guy is very well off, might I say. And he was like, yeah, it's actually a really bad thing that in the labor market, the workers have a lot of leverage compared to, recent history. It's like, ew.
No, it's weird too, because like the whole idea is that like, if we have capitalism, it allows society to progress and invent and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, Yeah, I don't think workers should have like, or I think they're too powerful.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
And that completely negates the point that the reason that they're operating a business is to help their society, to fill a niche that isn't being fulfilled.
Yeah, I wasn't going to make this point, but yeah, now that you bring that up, but yeah, they kind of go on about how they kind of go on about how capitalism is so great because it provides a lot of upward mobility, but then when the upward mobility comes, they complain about it. Like the guy this guy was like, yeah, I was at the ski resort and they had teenagers working the concession stand and they were offering $20 an hour and a lot of kids weren't even taking the job, and like saying that the workers are bad for that.
Well, also $20
and like, isn't that the free market?
Like $20 an hour in Florida is like nothing.
Yeah, I don't know if it was in Florida specifically, but like the dude was in a very nice place.
$20 is a lot.
Yeah, it's not a lot of money
in Michigan.
Anymore.
If you're in Michigan without a college degree, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Right. But maybe if you're in Florida or California or Texas or Rhode Island or New York or, sometimes it's like $20 is like not enough.
Yeah, and they go on about how the free market, finds equilibrium or whatever, and they always defend that when it comes to jobs that pay like sub minimum wage. They're like, hey, that's the market. But then they don't do the same thing when it comes to jobs that pay well above that amount. Like it just
also like
they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. But yeah, I was saying like they say capitalism is so great because like it provides so much upward mobility, but then when the workers get the leverage to give themselves that upward mobility, they're like, no, the workers got to fall back in line and demand less money actually.
Right. And the point about equilibrium too, like, they say that, right? But the equilibrium idea only works really if it's a product that's being actively used, right? Or if you're not actively checking and trying to exploit the fact that there is an equilibrium, right? Because if you can determine certain points on that equilibrium, you can make more profit, right? And it only comes to equilibrium when every need is met, and it's met at equal footing in the economy, right? So.
It's not an exact science. Like it's not like chemistry. You know what I mean? Like it's just
fuck with it.
Like equilibrium and like all the graphs and stuff they use. It's just a way to like quantify human behavior. And I feel like people don't like kind of check themselves enough and realize like, okay, yeah, market forces, equilibrium. Like they act like it's like some kind of external force, and it's not just the way we describe how humans are operating.
Well, what's a great way to disturb equilibrium? Knowing that there's going to be an equilibrium.
Yeah.
And then saying, like, for instance, like with masks, I'm not like knowing of any situation that happened with masks in the COVID-19 pandemic. But if you were a mask manufacturer and you knew that shit was going to hit the fan, you could easily just halt production of your masks and rack up the price.
Yeah, price gouging, right? Exactly. And that's what's leading to so much of our inflation, just price gouging.
Yeah.
And they act like inflation
have made record profits.
Yeah, they're acting like inflation is some kind of external factor, like some kind of external force. It's like that South Park episode where like the economy is treated like a deity. I like that episode. But yeah, it's like they treat it like it's some kind of unknowable outside force, and it's just price gouging. Like
in some cases, yeah. I mean, if it's Gushers, I don't really care, but like,
yeah. But when it's
for
like masks, for medicine,
like for fuck's sake, like if
for
it's
housing, housing is a big thing that's happening too right now.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
I need to pee. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'll wait for you.
I'll
play some hold music.
God love you. Now this is chocolate, right? Chocolate, you are pardoned. You are pardoned. He said, you had to tell me that? Yeah, you are.
Look at my sweat.
I'm serious. He said, I don't know, man. You didn't have to pardon me. I knew I was pardoned.
I'm watching that video of Joe Biden pardoning the turkey. I just, not to halt what we were talking about, I was like, okay, we gotta show the viewers this, because we've been like riffing on the whole, like, there's like a 8-second part of this thing where Joe Biden is like, Turkey, you wanna say something into the microphone, Turkey? Hey, this turkey reminds me of some of the world leaders I've met, because they're a bunch of jive turkeys. Anyway, we've been riffing on that, but I have not seen like the rest of it, and what he's saying here is so like, I don't know. It feels like performance art.
Look at this.
Have you seen
this is chocolate, right?
Have you seen the clip of him explaining how he feels about his mental clarity?
Yes.
When he talks about like a fly or something.
Yeah. He was like, listen, in terms of my mental clarity, like, listen, Jack, for 100 years,
I don't, and when I think about my man, like a fly, I can't. When, I'm not, when I worry about it, it's just nothing.
Yeah, man. Anyway, all right, this is very, very quiet. Hold on, let's.
Look at this. God love you. Now, this is chocolate, right? Chocolate, you are pardoned. You are pardoned. He said, you had to tell me that? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
can I mention something funny?
I'm serious.
Hold on.
He said, I don't know, man. You didn't have to pardon me. I knew I was pardoned. At any rate, thank you both very, very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. How many turkeys you got down there you're raising?
Circle H Ranch grows about 9.5 million turkeys a year.
God love you. 9.5 million turkeys. I tell you what, that's like some of the countries up.
Yeah.
Little.
Anyway, he's gonna say the thing. I had to crank my volume so much for this.
Love you. 9.5 million turkeys. I tell you what, that's like some of the countries I've been to. Anyway.
Anyway, you were saying?
So a pardon, when you accept a pardon, it's a legal admission of wrongdoing without punishment.
Yeah, turkey, admit you did something wrong. Admit your crimes.
I don't know what this turkey did in Nam, but
maybe they got him on tax evasion.
Maybe.
Anyway, we were talking about this economist. So yeah, he was complaining about like workers having leverage, and my takeaway from that, combined with other like clips that I've heard of economists being like workers having leverage is bad, like just all of that combined together, I don't know how your takeaway cannot be that we rely on an underclass to keep our economy going.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if you bring that up to like the average capitalist, they're like, no, we don't have an underclass, a permanent underclass that we rely on. You know, one of them, if they're lucky, can climb the economic ladder and win the lottery or something. And they can, get their big break. But it's like, can they all? You know what I mean? Like, there's still a class of people that we rely on to work long hours for low pay with no benefits and all that. Like, and to your admission, our economy would collapse if they didn't do that. So how is that not an underclass?
And I love how much like government jobs are frowned upon. Like, and what I mean by love is like, I kind of hate it because if you want to see like a job that actually cares about their employees, like look at government jobs. Because I mean, the pay might not be like the absolute best, but you get really good healthcare.
Yeah.
Healthcare, like usually pretty comprehensive, pretty full healthcare for like you and your entire fucking family.
Yeah. I don't remember who made the argument, but I remember someone made the argument, and it's a good argument, that the military is like it's basically just a miniature like socialist experiment within our government. Like the military, the way it operates is very similar to like a socialist or communist setup, where you put in your work to the extent that you can and you just get shit covered for you. Like your pay is low, but you get crazy benefits. Mm-hmm. And like and you're just within a community.
Your pay is low if you don't have a degree. But the thing is, like,
the point is the pay is low, but like you get incredible health care and all that.
Oh, right. Like you get, if you're in the army for like 20 years, you get like free healthcare for the rest of your life through the VA.
Yeah. Now there are problems with the VA, but the concept of it is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say keep it, make it better. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
I mean, if you want to get benefits from the military, yeah, go for it. Just pray to God that you don't get like PTSD.
Right. Also, no, you are joining the bad guys from Avatar.
Yeah.
That's why I would I would have to get incredibly desperate to even consider joining the military. Because ethically, I could not square that.
Well, I mean, the way I view it is that like the actions might be wrong, but the people aren't bad.
Sure, but the actions are still wrong, and that's my ethical concern.
Exactly. The actions are wrong, but the people aren't bad. However, there will need to be good people there to try to change it.
Yeah, even if there are good people there, like sometimes that's not enough. Because like it's a very big system, a very heavily flawed system, and it takes just an incredible amount of effort to change it.
Yeah.
But it was.
I'm learning that the hard way with school stuff.
Yeah, I thought about bringing it up, but yeah, not to get too specific about what you're dealing with. Yeah, I kind of learning that the hard way.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Yeah. But
anyway.
Yeah, the last point I was gonna bring this up. The last point that I want to make on our economic discussion is just like as a general rule, I don't like the attitude that because there are potential problems with an economic system, it's not even worth trying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, under socialism or communism, sure, there are opportunities for corruption. Like what we've talked about with like publicly financed elections, there's potential for corruption, but I don't see that as a reason to not give it a try and just do our best to stop the corruption. Because the way that we do it now just is corruption. Like having publicly or privately financed elections just conceptually is corrupt. Publicly funded elections conceptually is the lack of corruption. So I think it's worth trying that, even if there is the possibility for there to be wrinkles in the plan. It's not, I don't think you should throw the baby out with the bathwater and say there's some issues, so let's just go back to the more corrupt way that we were doing things.
Right.
So anyway, Avatar 2, Way of the Water, best movie ever.
Best movie ever.
Yeah, I don't know, because that was a long segment that we just did. I don't know if I will like cut it out as a separate like publication or what. I don't know if I'll leave it in, because we spent
like an hour and a half.
The session file for this episode is 2.5 hours. So I'm
on top of what we've already done.
Yeah, I may split it up into a couple thing, like have the episode and then the thing that we just finish up. So to the listener, just pretend,
to any future employer,
pretend that this edit has worked out. But anyway, yeah, Avatar, I'd say best movie ever. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I understand there are flaws with it, but I really enjoyed it. And I think that like the flaws that are there, I view them as nitpicks. Even if they're like legitimate flaws with the movie, I still feel nitpicky, like going into it, like I feel nitpicky, like complaining about the issues with the movie, because I just feel like it's not the kind of movie where like the plot really matters. Like I wish that the plot was better. I wish it wasn't a retread of the last movie, but that doesn't ruin the experience for me, because that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Anyway, you want to get to recommendations of the week?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
I'm very tired now.
Yeah. I do have a couple of video recommendations. So the first one is from Wisecrack. They do a lot of really good, like in-depth videos about, they do some videos about like Marxism, like, and how it relates to like certain media. Like it's primarily like a media analysis channel, but they do a lot of like they work in a lot of economic concepts and stuff like that. Like a lot of what I've learned about Marx's writing is from that channel. among other, sources. But yeah, it's just well-researched stuff. This video in particular is titled, "Is Right-Wing Comedy Funny?" And it's just kind of a deep dive into like the mindset of a conservative comedian and like what makes conservative comedy different from like, non-political comedy. And it kind of goes into how like liberal comedy and conservative comedy are kind of two sides of the same coin. Now, liberal comedy isn't like, George Carlin going on about like how, the economic system is rigged or whatever. Like that's a whole separate category. Like it's still political, but liberal comedy, I like the average CNN viewer, like that kind, like that version of the word liberal.
Yeah.
But it's just a good video. It's very in depth. I appreciate the nuance. And then the other video that I have is Psychiatrist breaks down Batman's Psychotic Arkham Inmates. It's from GQ. I like the guy that they brought in for it. I like his vibe. Hold on, I'm gonna find a part of the video that I like. But yeah, it's good. He basically goes through a few of the different Batman villains and kind of like gives his 2 cents on like what their diagnosis would be like real life.
Yeah.
The one that I thought was interesting is that he said that the Joker, as far as he can tell, doesn't really have a mental disorder. Like he's not like insane. Like he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing is wrong. He's just like a nihilist, basically. Like he's not crazy. He's not with that. He's not a psychopath. Like he just does what he wants. But I just want to like showcase a bit of this guy's vibe because I love it. I do not know if this is the exact times.
Does have an impact on your life.
Oh, here
and murderous. Trauma that happens when you're younger really does have an impact on your life. It doesn't make you want to become a murderous individual necessarily. That's pretty rare. But here we see Penguin.
I like his vibe. Like he takes it so seriously, even though what he's talking about is like on the face kind of like silly, like diagnosing comic book villains. But he's like, like taking it so seriously, like, yeah, childhood trauma has a lot of, bad effects on you. Doesn't necessarily make you murderous, but it's rare. I don't know. I just love his like kind of dry vibe. I love him so much. He's just dressed like a nerd. He has round glasses. It's great. I love it. And this is just to kind of continue what we've been talking about with physical media. I just have a couple of Amazon links just to kind of showcase what I've been talking about. Like you could get a Paramount Plus subscription, or like I was going to bring up, it especially works if you have like maybe like a friend group where you're all into Star Trek and you're like, okay, we could pay for Paramount Plus, or we could just like, pool our money, buy these Blu-ray collections. But yeah, the 10 movie
and start a Plex server.
Yeah. Store, have, the techiest person set up a Plex server, and instead of paying for Paramount Plus every month, just pay once for the Blu-rays, and then you can all, share them. Like it works, especially if you're in that situation. But I think still, if you're one person buying it, it still makes sense. But yeah, this is the first 10 Star Trek movies on Blu-ray. So high quality 1080p. And it's $56 regularly. Right now it's on sale for $42.52. That's a pretty good deal for 10 movies. Like it's decent. It's like $2 per movie. My math.
Hang on. What at $42.52?
Yeah, $42.52, and it's 10 movies. So it's
$4.25.
Yeah. Why did that take me more than half a second to calculate? Why did it's divided by 10?
I used a calculator. I just used I used a fucking calculator, my guy.
Yeah. Anyway, less than $5 per movie.
I'm just an idiot.
The Star Trek Next Generation Motion Picture Collection. That has 4 movies, and that's $20. So same per movie price. And they also have like the Blu-ray box sets for the series.
Granted, one of those movies is pretty shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's you'll find that with any movie franchise. But yeah, they also have the box sets for the series, and those are a bit more expensive just because it's like an entire TV series, But Yeah, just conceptually, it makes sense. Like if you're, just buying HBO Max for the Star Trek movies, it makes more financial sense to buy these movie collections instead.
Mm-hmm.
And I noted with the Honey price tracker, it shows the price history for any given item, and the Star Trek 10 movie thing went as low as $33 during December.
Wow.
So yeah, pick it up if it goes on sale. You can turn on the there's like a tracker on Honey that you can set it so like if it goes below a certain amount, you get a notification. So that's something useful. You can just add it to your Amazon wish list, whatever. But yeah, I like that with that, you're not at the whims of a large corporation. Like you're not, the victim of a rights dispute.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all she wrote. That's all I wrote.
All she wrote. I have a few
recommendations.
I think I may have already recommended this like a bunch of episodes back, but
yeah, we can do repeat recommends.
The show, the Star Trek animated show called Lower Decks. It's just it's nice and goofy in a way that's like self-reflective of like Star Trek faux pas, and it can poke fun at itself and also give really decent like storylines. So I quite like it, and I hope our audience will too. The other thing is a YouTube channel that I like to watch sometimes for like astronomy stuff. It's called Astrum, Astrum. He does a lot of astronomy and space videos. It's just cool. He has a very nice, calm like voice when he talks about things, and he has an English accent. It's really cool. He's a really chill dude.
That's awesome.
And so that's pretty cool. Mr. Beat, he's another YouTuber. Oh, yeah. He used to be a social studies teacher.
Yeah, we've talked about him before. I brought up one of his videos in conversation.
Yeah, and actually, remember when I brought up Johnny Harris?
Yeah.
He has a video up that was up 12 days ago called "Johnny Harris is Wrong About Inflation."
Ooh.
Yeah, so two YouTubers that I actually quite like beefing it out. I love it.
That's great.
Yeah, so I mean,
I
like those guys.
I just realized you were saying that Mr. Beat has a video called "Johnny Harris is wrong about inflation." For some reason, I thought that you were saying Johnny Harris has a video called "Johnny Harris is Wrong About Inflation."
Yeah, he actually critiqued his own video. Yeah,
I don't know why I mean, it's not weird for
like,
a person to do that. It's been done before.
Usually, it's just like, "Hey, recap. I was wrong."
Yeah, but yeah, I will again plug the Tom Nicholas video about Johnny Harris because he's like bad or something. I don't remember, but I just remember
bad. I just think
Thomas Nicholas did a video about
kind of sensationalist a little bit. I feel like he waters things down too much.
He like took money from someone and then did a puff piece on them and didn't disclose that it was like a sponsored thing, something along those lines. Again, I don't remember, but yeah, Tom Nicholas did a video about him. So just presenting both sides, man. I see both sides.
Both sides.
Actually, I forgot I wanted to mention I've been replaying Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it's great. Nothing will quite match just the sheer joy of playing it for the first time.
Oh, right.
Like, have you played it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I haven't gone through the entire thing, but I have, in fact, beaten 3 of the bosses before.
Okay. Yeah, I've been replaying it. It's been like 5 years since I started it the first time, and I beat it like fairly quickly. Like, it's been a long time since I finished the game, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to revisit, but I don't think anything will quite match playing it for the first time because it was just such a unique, like, fun
experience.
Yeah, stimulating experience. I really loved the exploration of it, And it's fun exploring the map again, but it's kind of like, okay, I've done this before. I'm just excited for the sequel to come out. I hope that it, innovates in a way that I like.
Right.
Obviously, it's going to be the same. Like, it's going to be the same map of Hyrule, so they're not going to have you do like all the shrines and the towers again. Because you can't really recapture that. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, if you will. But I guess there's going to be like a sky city or whatever above Hyrule, and possibly like caverns below. So there's going to be exploration, but yeah, that was my favorite part of the first game. I just hope it has the same kind of quality to it. But yeah, if you haven't played Breath of the Wild in a while, or if you haven't played it yet, especially if you already have a Switch, like, I cannot recommend it enough. The price on the used market has gone down quite a bit. My roommate just bought himself a copy, and I think he got it for like $25. So that's very well worth it. I think the DLC altogether is like $15 to $20.
There are DLCs?
Yeah, they released a couple of DLC packs with like extra items and like quest packs. So yeah, if you played the base game but you haven't played the DLC, I strongly suggest that. It's just a fun, extra thing. It's just more Breath of the Wild, which I always love.
More breath, more wild.
Yeah, man, my breath has been very. Well, sounds like your breath is wild.
More like my sinuses, man.
Yeah, man. Anyway, this isn't a recommendation so much as it's just hey, I started this new series and I'm excited for it. But Miles Morales, I'm showing on the webcam, Miles Morales has his new series. Second issue is out today as of recording. I picked it up earlier. I haven't read it yet, but the first issue was decent. I just like the character. It's good. It's cool that he has a new series, and I like it. I forgot okay, not to take too much extra time on top of what we've already been doing. I'll make this quick, but I've been talking about the Fantastic Four series, the new one that just started. It's 3 issues in as of now. The third issue features Johnny Storm. Like, the whole like setup for now is like they're all on their separate adventures and then they come together later. But Johnny Storm is like on the run because of some events that happened in the past. It's unclear what happened to split them up, and like they have all their stuff is gone. They don't got any more money, and they're all like on the run or whatever. But Johnny Storm is like the Human Torch. He's like, trying to lay low, live like as an alias. So he comes up with a foolproof alias, Jonathan Fairweather. And he like grows like one of the mustaches that like goes like, I'm drawing out the shape, but that does nothing for the listener. But just look it up. Just look up Jonathan Fairweather. But he dyes his hair, and he works at like a Best Buy type store. And the whole story is him taking down like the owner of the store, who's like super just an asshole, like underpaying people and, leaving shit like unsafe, just terrible guy. Turns out he was like a mob goon from way back, and he was in an obscure issue way back, and they brought him back for this. And he's like, I remember you, Johnny Storm. I remember you, Human Torch, and you were mean to me this time. And like, he unionizes his workplace. Like, he is a hero in the sense that he can light himself on fire and beat up a guy, but he also has to learn to like use people skills and like, use like his community essentially to defeat the bad guy.
Kind of like Joker and Harley Quinn.
Kinda, but this is actually like the Joker thing is great. Like, he becomes mayor and he does socialism or whatever.
Like, actually good things.
But I liked this because it's like he's a hero. Like, he can light himself on fire and all that. But he's also just being a good person. Like, he's just being a good guy, independent of his superhero identity. And I like stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, this guy has powers and he does the right thing with them, but at heart, he just is a good person regardless. He would be doing good things even without his powers. I like that. And they all take him down, and they, he gets arrested for some crimes that they expose him for. It's great. It's a good story. I strongly suggest picking up Fantastic Four #3. Either pick it up at your local comic shop, buy it from the Marvel Comics app, or wait for it to go on Marvel Unlimited if you have that. And that's all she wrote. For real this time. Anyway,
All right.
Unless any one of us thinks of something to add, I think that's the show.
I think that's the show.
That's the show. My voice feels worn out. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of Bold of You to Say. If you liked it, then like it. If you subscribe, then subscribe. And if you comment, it better be nice because we have fragile egos, as I have established. If you like the show, then leave us a review on Podchaser. It's like an IMDb type site for podcasts. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you can, if you want. We can't make you do anything. Share the show with a friend.
If you didn't like the show, actually, just send us like a letter, through the mail.
Yeah. Just either way, inflate our fragile egos.
Mm-hmm.
Follow me on social media. Don't follow Gavin anywhere. Blah blah blah.
Don't follow me not only because I don't have anything to follow. So.
Yeah.
Good luck. If you can find something to follow, let me know.
I challenge you to follow him on anything.
Yeah. Try it, I guess.
Like and subscribe.
Something that's not derelict.
Yeah. Subscribe to the Clips channel. I'm trying to upload more there. Yada, yada. Anyway, have a good 9 a.m. through 9 p.m. our official business hours. And let's go pardon a turkey.
Let's pardon a perky.
Hey, look at this. Look at this turkey. Oh, this.
It's just like a country.
9.5 million turkeys.
That's all.
That reminds me of. Like I said on the phone, it sounds like his brain is out of breath. Look at this. There's 9.5 million turkeys. It's a lot of turkeys. It reminds me of some of the places I've been to. Hey, turkey. Hey, I'm pardoning you. Hey, turkey.
I don't know why.
The turkey's saying, I know you're pardoning me. Yeah, I won't. You know what I did. I committed tax fraud.
It's almost better that he's old and confused.
I guess it beats young and confused.
No, it beats like Sarah Palin being like, I can see Russia from my porch. It beats that. At least I know the dude's sane. Yeah,
I just don't like that we're comparing those two options.
I'm only comparing them for dramatic effect.
Yeah, I wish we had better options. And I feel sad that we don't. Anyway, let's get the
What would you do if you could change your... if you could change your fate, would you... If you had the power to change your fate, would you...
Yeah, I would. I think I'd make it better. I think that's a dumb question. I think it's an easy fucking question.
I would make my fate irrelevant.
My fate would be I get $1 trillion. If I had one fate that I could have this holiday season, it'd be for all the children of the world to join hands and sing in a spirit of harmony and peace. If I had two fates I could change this holiday season, first would be for all the children of the world to join hands and sing in a spirit of harmony and peace. And the second would be for, $60 million a month to be given
year-long orgasm
to me, tax-free in a Swiss bank account. If I had 3 wishes, if I had 3 fates that I could change this holiday season. First would be the crap about the kids. Second would be for the $30 million. And the third would be a 31-day extended orgasm to be brought about by the whatever celebrities he brings up and the model Pauline somebody. Yeah.
Anyway, let's jump into it.
Look at these turkeys.
And if I had 4 wishes, I would jump into it.
I would have 9.5 million turkeys, just like some of the places I've been to.
Man, I'd jump into it just like some of the countries and the turkey. And flies are like my attention, and when I can see what the fly sees, anyway.
Yeah, I've made the decision that this is going to be an end credits stinger. This is going after the outro music. This bit. So hello from after the outro music.
Poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
Yeah, hold on. Let's hear it from the man himself.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Yeah.
He just says it with such like he's trying to be the light of the world. He's trying to be like
I'm the voice of reason.
Something. He's like, I'm the voice of reason, but I'm the voice of truth.
He's very progressive for 1952.
I'm the voice of compassion, and then just accidentally just says something completely racist.
Yeah. Oh, I will leave you with this.
So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway.
All right.